Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, collecting Shinra Tensei at the beginning. Chapter 101 Talking. It's not difficult to find Charles. We already know that he entered the building. In such a small area, relying on the X system in the mobile phone to find one, there is no need to go around. After finding Charles, he was indeed in class. Han Yu stood behind and listened for a while, then left. What the hell, I don't understand at all. Han Yu simply leaned against the side of the corridor, took out his mobile phone and earphones, and silently turned on Wang Yun. A random playlist was played, and he went for a walk in the campus. Anyway, he had to wait, wandered around, and recollected it campus life is also a good choice. Time passed, and the get out of class bell rang. Students, you must go back and look through the content of our class next week, otherwise it will be difficult to keep up, and there are people who need tutoring on weekends. Charles looked at the students chatting with each other while packing up their textbooks. What he said was ignored at all, and everyone went their separate ways after class was over. Hey, the students will listen to me in class, and it's okay after class. After shaking his head helplessly, Charles also started to pack his courseware. Weekend tutoring is free, and he just wants to teach more. It seems that the students don't want to go at all. In the hearts of students, weekends are still very good, and few people take the initiative to find teachers to make up lessons. As soon as he left the classroom, a voice stopped Charles. Mr. Charles, are you free? Let's chat. Charles turned his head, and the one who stopped him was an Asian boy who looked younger than him, probably in his early 20s. Are you, the teacher of the students you bumped into before? Charles recalled the incident when he knocked down Peter Parker and the others. At that time, he didn't even look at each other. He still remembered Han Yu. Is this the memory of Swiba? I'm not. I just came to see you. I want to ask you something. Are you free? Han Yu said with a smile. He is wearing very light clothes today, a khaki top with all-purpose black trousers, and a pair of white high-top sneakers, which is simple and very energetic, especially Han Yu looks young, he also looked like a high school student. Yes, then, let's go to the office. Seeing Han Yu's outfit, Charles thought it was a student from another school who came to him for an academic discussion. He was naturally happy and was about to go to the office when Han Yu stopped him. Can you go to some places where there are no people? I don't want others to know about some topics. Why don't you go to the school's coffee shop? I see there are private rooms. Han Yu smiled apologetically, and asked a person he just met to talk to a place where no one was around. If it wasn't for his decent appearance, it would be fine if others didn't call the police. How could he go to such a place with him? Seeing that the place the other party mentioned was still in the school, Charles felt relieved, and the two chatted on the left and the right, and headed towards the coffee shop. It's just that on the road, Han Yu only talked about some simple personal information, without mentioning his real purpose at all. Careful! When passing by the playground, several exclamations came from not far away. Charles turned his head slowly. And a football was magnifying in his eyes, and he couldn't hide it. At this moment, a slender hand appeared between Charles and the ball, easily catching the football that fell from the sky. Are you okay? Han Yu asked. No, it's okay, you reacted so quickly. Charles was stunned for a moment, and then said excitedly, Are you a football player? Do you want to invite me into the team? No, this is unlikely, is it possible? It's something like a teaching assistant, let me tell you earlier, I am also very interested in football, and it's not bad to be a teaching assistant in my spare time. Hearing that Charles was there, it was Han Yu who was stunned now. In the latter's memory, Charles had always been a quiet person, but the Charles in front of him was much more lively than he remembered. Maybe this is the change of time and space, this damn parallel universe. Han Yu said helplessly in his heart that since he came to this world, the timeline of this world has changed, and those things in his memory are only in his memory. As for whether it can be triggered in the same way, it does not matter. No. Mr. Han, what's the matter with you? Seeing Han Yu sitting there in a daze without speaking, Charles asked aloud, because he was the one who asked him to come here, so it would be strange not to speak now. Sorry, I was lost in thought. Han Yu smiled apologetically, coughed lightly, and got back to the topic. Mr. Charles, I heard that you are very good at biology. What do you think of the word mutation? Oh? That's interesting. The other party asked the topic that he was good at and was very interested in. Charles began to talk endlessly. Mutation, by definition, is the evolution of single-celled organisms into dominant life. The origin of the Earth is the evolution of many generations of organisms, and it has come to today. Han Yu smiled and said, "That's a good point. Do you think human beings will mutate?" "Of course, Darwin's theory of evolution means that humans evolved from apes." Charles wanted to continue, but Han Yu waved his hand. "No, I'm not referring to physical mutation, but internal, higher-level mutation, such as some special abilities." Hearing this, Charles was stunned for a moment. He suddenly felt that the purpose of the young man sitting in front of him was not purely for academic discussion. Charles lowered his head and stirred the coffee in the cup with a teaspoon, so that Han Yu could not see the slight flicker in his eyes, and asked calmly, "What do you mean?" Han Yu smiled, and a word that shocked Charles came out of his mouth, "Mr. Charles, are you a superpower?" The movement of stirring the coffee suddenly stopped for a second, but was quickly joined by Charles. He raised his head, with a puzzled look on his face, and said, "I don't understand what you're talking about." His small movements naturally did not escape Han Yu's observation. Seeing that Charles has such small movements, it seems that he does have this ability. "Don't be afraid, I'm also a person with superpowers. I came to you this time to discuss how to gather these people with superpowers. If the world finds out that there are a large number of people with superpowers, it will definitely cause panic among ordinary people, and even, it will start a war." Han Yu's words really startled Charles. He was not alarmist. In Han Yu's memory, there was a war between humans and mutants. Although mutants are a race with superpowers, most of them are not malicious, but it is also regarded as a threat and hunted around. It is also because of this that mutants will rise up to resist and cause war. "How can I trust you?" Charles asked. As soon as the words fell, he saw the coffee in front of him floating out of thin air, turning around on the table a few times before falling back on the table. Han Yuxiu's action also made Charles believe that he is a superpower. He took a big sip of coffee, and his voice was a little excited. "I always thought that I was not the only one with superpowers in this world. Today I saw something else, but I call these superpowers mutants, which means genetically mutated humans." Han Yu was taken aback, and said, "Wait a minute, always a mutant? When did you find out that you have this ability?" Charles replied, 7. Han Yu then asked, "What is your ability?" As he said that, Charles stretched out his hand to the spoon, and did something that shocked Han Yu for a whole year. He actually bent the metal spoon. "Wait a minute, your ability is to control the magnetic field." Han Yu suddenly felt that one head was 10 bigger, and quickly waved his hand to signal Charles to stop. He rubbed his temples, his mind was a little confused, and things were a little unexpected. "What's wrong with you? Has my ability affected you?" Seeing Han Yu's appearance, Charles hurriedly stepped forward to check, thinking that it was caused by his own ability. "It's okay, I just didn't realize it." Han Yu waved his hand, took a long breath, and asked, "So, you call this kind of superpower a mutant, and your ability is to control the magnetic field?" Yes, is there something wrong?" "What's wrong?" "Not too big." Chapter 102 The Flashpoint Paradox. In Han Yu's memory, Charles is Professor X, the most powerful person with telepathic ability, but now it seems that his ability is to control the magnetic field. This is the ability of Magneto King Eric. Han Yu crossed his fingers and put his chin under his chin, and his expression was a little strange. Suddenly, a word popped up in his mind, "Damn it, it's the Flashpoint Paradox." The so-called lightning paradox comes from the setting of the DC universe. In the DC universe, when the Flash travels to the past and changes something, a series of butterfly effects will be produced because of this incident, thus changing the future and creating a new path. This is known as the Flashpoint Paradox. Han Yu originally thought that his appearance would at most delay or advance the occurrence of various events, but now it seems that his appearance did not cause a simple passage of time, but a Flashpoint Paradox. In the world where the Flashpoint Paradox occurs, everything will be different from the previous ones. Those good people can become the heinous villains, and vice versa, the villains can also become good people. I don't know how many things have been affected by this Flashpoint Paradox. It seems that I have to help push things forward to avoid too many uncontrollable situations. Han Yu rubbed his chin. In his previous life, as long as it was about the Flash, it must be about the change of the timeline. These speedsters like to play with time and change the world by traveling around. I didn't expect that my own appearance would cause such an incident now. It's really a long time to see. Mr. Han, are you, all right? Seeing that Han Yu didn't speak for a long time, as if he was shocked by his superpower, Charles said worriedly. It's okay, let me make it clear. If there are more mutants in this world, but humans don't like them and chase them down, what will you do at this time? Han Yu's eyes flickered. The Magneto in his memory was a villain. Although he had helped Professor X, he was still a villain. I don't know what kind of mentality Charles, who has the ability of Magneto, would have. It was a good question and a testing one, and it was the first time Charles had heard it asked, and it silenced him. Han Yu didn't disturb him, but looked at him quietly. He was ready. If Charles's thoughts were harmful to the world, he would use his mental power to set up a mental cage in the other party's mind. It is not fatal, but it can block his ability and make him completely forget that he has superpowers, because Han Yu knows how far his ability can evolve. Mutants are divided into 5 levels, and level 5 is the highest Omega level. The huge mutant group is only a few fingers away, and Magneto's ability can reach level 4. Although it is not the top level, it also has a terrifying level of moving planets. Among the mutants, this can already be regarded as a king-level superpower, which is really terrifying. After 5 minutes of thinking, Charles sighed softly and said, if there is such a day, I should take the mutants I know to hide and try not to be discovered by ordinary humans. To be honest, so I've been looking for other mutants for years, but haven't come across any. His words made Han Yu smile. Fortunately, although the mutant ability has changed, Charles is still as kind as he remembered, which made Han Yu heave a sigh of relief. Magneto King Eric and Professor X Charles are both Han Yu must find, because he remembers that these two people established the Mutant Academy and helped mutants. Although Eric's subsequent behavior was a bit extreme, he wanted to destroy humans to protect mutants. But Han Yu knew that the reason why he did this was because he was persecuted by the Nazi forces in his childhood, and he was used for many years. He had a certain hostility towards ordinary human beings, and now he saw his compatriots being killed, which led him astray. Very well, I came here this time to discuss this with you. I plan to establish a college to receive mutants from all over the world. I hope you can join and be a teacher here. Not all mutants are like that. With your kind of thinking and family background, their family and friends will only regard them as monsters. Too much exclusion will cause their psychology to become distorted and lead to bloody cases. It will be difficult to solve at that time, so I want to gather them all together, and you, the elders, will teach them to control their own emotions. Strength. Han Yu's words penetrated deeply into Charles's heart. Why did he always teach in schools instead of going to companies that paid him a high price for research? It was because he discovered that mutant genes existed more from childhood. Mutant genes will not appear out of thin air over time. Charles has been in school to observe the students, to see which ones have mutant signs, and to protect them in advance from outside harm. It's a pity that he has more energy than energy, he can only observe the students in Berlin at most, and he really has no choice in other places. So what are you going to do? Charles asked. Han Yu said, I have developed a software here that can search for mutants on a large scale. I will give it to you. When we find another necessary person, the rest of the work will be handed over to you too. Unfortunately, I don't know where to find this person, his ability doesn't seem to be activated yet, and I don't know if he really has superpowers. Charles asked, there is another person, what's his name? Eric lands here, he should also be a powerful mutant, but there are so many people, where can I find him? Han Yu said in distress, but saw Charles slowly raised his hand and said with a strange expression, Eric, he is our school's physical education teacher, I have a good relationship with him, and he is the only one around me. Someone who knew I was a mutant. Han Yu? Is it such a coincidence that you are best friends in the movie, but now you are still best friends in reality? It can be said to be fate, which is beyond words. That's great, where is he now, shall we go find him? Han Yu asked, he knew that Eric must not be in school now, otherwise the X system could not have detected his mutant gene. He may be at home. I'll call him later and ask him to come over. After that, Charles immediately took out the phone, his expression was a little excited, he had been waiting for this day for more than 20 years, and it was Eric who comforted him since childhood that he was a mutant. He didn't feel like a freak. Well now, hearing that the other party might be a mutant, Charles would be even more motivated to work if he could be recruited into the gang. The phone rang several times before it was connected, and a low magnetic voice came from the other end of the phone. What are you doing, Charles? You are sleeping. Are you sleeping in broad daylight? Don't come to school if you don't have classes. I need you urgently. I'll be at school within half an hour. Hurry up. After Charles finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly, without even giving the other party a chance to refuse. Chapter 103 Former Magneto King. Eric, who was at home, looked at his phone in a daze. He heard it, but he didn't even give him a chance to ask what it was. This is a bit different from the usual Charles. But his friends said so, and he looked very anxious, so Eric got up and planned to go to school after washing up. On the other side, looking at Charles who hung up the phone, Han Yu asked, "Have you known each other for a long time?" "Yes, we belonged to the same school from high school to university, and now we are assigned to another school. It's quite a coincidence," Charles replied. Han Yu helplessly raised his forehead. Fortunately, at least the things he encounters now are not modified for the bad, and things that happen in the Flashpoint paradox are not necessarily all bad things. During the waiting time, Han and Yu, who had identified their identities, chatted more cheerfully. They talked more and more about mutants, as if they couldn't finish talking, and they had been studying Charles's mutant ability. "Hey, what is your ability, can you show me?" Charles asked, because he has always shown his ability, and Han Yu has never seen him show his ability. He confused Han Yu by asking this question. Speaking of which, he really doesn't have any iconic superpowers, maybe it's the green light ring, which is a prop ability. Apart from the immortal seal, he has no other abilities of his own. The attack power brought by the immortal seal is not great, and the strengthening of mental power allows him to have spiritual communication, shock, and protection. Spiritual shock can cause harm to ordinary people, but for those mutants or gods with strong psychic abilities, the ability can only protect oneself from the other party's mental infringement, and can't cause any real harm. My ability is not the same as yours. Mine is a simple space system plus weapon system. Randomly making up two terms, Han Yu's hands flashed, and the Haoshan hammer and Bing Lun Wan appeared in his hands with black light shining. The appearance of Hiran Wan made the temperature of this room drop a lot, and in this hot day, a thin layer of ice formed on the surrounding walls. Charles wanted to rub his hands, but found that his movements became sluggish, and his gaze suddenly turned to the clear sky hammer. Even he could feel the faint pressure from the hammer, and it was because of this pressure that his movements became so slow. Seeing Charles's actions, Han Yu withdrew his weapon. Although the opponent was a mutant, his physique was no different from that of an ordinary person, and he couldn't bear the pressure brought by these two weapons. After Han Yu put away his weapon, Charles breathed a sigh of relief. "Sorry." Han Yu smiled apologetically. "It's okay, I want to see it myself. You are very powerful. Just a knife and a hammer can have such power. If you really fight, who can beat you?" Charles looked at the changes in the room and said in surprise. Han Yu smiled and said nothing. He will definitely have a chance to see him make a move in the future, so he doesn't want to explain anything now. In more than 20 minutes, a figure rushed into the room. His gaze first stopped on Charles, and then he was surprised by the deformed spoon on the table, and hurried forward to pull Charles up, pulling him behind. "How are you okay?" The person who came in was the former Magneto King Eric, and now he was looking up and down Charles's body, as if he was afraid that he would be hurt by Han Yu. "I'm fine, what can I do?" Charles asked a little puzzled. Eric swept Han Yu vigilantly, then looked at the slightly bent spoon on the table, and asked Charles in a low voice, "Did you use your ability just now? Didn't you say that you can't use it when outsiders are around? What if you get into trouble?" A trace of obvious anger could be heard in these low-pitched words, and it was because of concern about Charles's exposure ability that he caused his death. Han Yu couldn't help but laugh at this scene. The brotherhood between the two was beyond Han Yu's expectations. It seems that Eric in this world was not persecuted by the Nazis, otherwise he would not have become Charles's colleague. Charles heard Eric's angry and concerned words, walked between Eric and Han Yu, and said to him, "Let me introduce, this is Han Yu, from New York, and he is also a mutant." "A mutant too?" Eric glanced at Han Yu suspiciously, obviously not believing it. Han Yu shrugged, didn't say much, took out the Haoshan hammer and Bing Lun Wan from the system space in front of him, shook them in front of him and put them back, and now he believed it. "You mutants are talking about things, what do you want me to do?" You don't want to use me to practice your hands. Although I am a physical education teacher, I am not a sandbag. Eric took a few steps back and said. Han Yu couldn't laugh or cry. Where did the aloof Magneto King in his previous life go? No, Han just told me that you might also be a mutant. Charles said. Eric said, me? How is it possible? I haven't shown signs of being a mutant since I was a child. Haven't we tried it a long time ago? It seems to be the same thing. Hearing this, Charles looked at Han Yu and asked Han Yu what he should do now. Charles's ability emerged very early. At that time, Eric also wanted to test whether he had superpowers. The two tried various methods, soaking in cold water, jumping from the third floor, or slapping themselves hard. It didn't help at all. Charles wasn't seen as a freak, Eric was, because the behavior was so unusual. Han Yu turned on the X system in his phone, and said to the two of them, my software can detect mutants, and now it is in the direct detection mode. If the other party is a mutant, it will light up red, and if it is white, then it means no, let's go outside and try. The three of them walked out of the room and stood at the door. Because it was already get out of class time, there were already many students in the coffee shop. Han Yu tried them one by one, and all of them were displayed in white. Finally, when they moved to Charles, they lit up in red. Look, it's true. Han Yu tried it on Charles and an ordinary student repeatedly, and after confirming that it was true, the three returned to the room. Are you ready? What I want to tell you is that Charles and I plan to start a college for mutant students. If you are a mutant in the next test, I hope you can take care of this college with Charles. Of course, if you don't want to, we won't test it, and if you don't take the initiative to inspire your ability, the current age will not trigger it casually. Han Yu said very seriously, after all, walking on this path means that they are not ordinary people, and the things they encounter later will also change their lives. At this time, Charles didn't say anything that he wanted Eric to join. He had already awakened his ability, and he clearly knew that he with this ability was completely different from ordinary people. What he will do next may be dangerous. Eric is his best friend. It would be great if he can help him. If the other party is unwilling to step on this road, Charles will not be able to force the other party. This is the other party. Life, I have no right to change it. Both Han Yu and Yu looked at Eric in silence. The latter didn't rush to answer, but also thought about it seriously. Finally, he put his palm on Charles's head and said with a smile. I'm definitely coming. If this nerd who hasn't even fought before is without me, how will he live in the future? Chapter 104 Turning on the Variant Gene. Charles pushed Eric's hand away, and said, Who do you call a nerd? You have the nerve to call me a poor student? Who came to me crying after being beaten when I was a child? Who came to me to copy my homework in the middle of the night, crying and saying that I should study hard? You, well, this is going to turn over old scores, right? Then tell me, someone fell into the puddle during an outing. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, but I insisted that I saw a treasure under the water and came to pick it up. It fell. You used to. Seeing that this disagreement started exposing each other's black history, Han Yu was overjoyed and listened with relish. At least this meant that the two had a good relationship. After the establishment of the academy, they should also become good partners. Okay, I won't quarrel with you, Han, give him a test. After his face was flushed from the quarrel, Charles stopped to take a big sip of coffee, and panted to Han Yu. Han Yu smiled and nodded. He actually didn't mind listening for a while. He picked up his phone and asked Eric, Are you ready? Bring it on. Eric took a few deep breaths, and said, This is a good opportunity to test whether he is a mutant. During the physical examination, he was afraid that the other party would suddenly say that he was a little strange. Now that he can know the situation exactly, forget it not in his heart for many years. After a beep, the eyes of the three of them converged on the screen of the phone, and they saw that a touch of red slowly appeared from the center of the screen, and finally covered the entire screen. It's a mutant. Eric is a mutant. Seeing this result, Eric had goosebumps all over his body, his eyes widened. He was actually a mutant. Why there was no sign for so many years? I'm a mutant, why haven't I activated my mutant ability for so many years? Knowing that he was a mutant, Eric opened his mouth slightly with an unbelievable expression on his face. I've tried many methods before, but it's not turned on, why is that? Charles was also a little dazed. Knowing that he knew that he was a mutant and possessed superpowers, his first reaction was not disgust, but envy. At that time, Eric tried his best, and Charles saw his efforts, but in the end he really didn't wake up, so he thought he was just an ordinary person, not a mutant. This made Eric very disappointed. If he was not a mutant, he would not be able to be by Charles's side in the future, and he would not be able to play with him. At that time, he was very depressed for a long time, and he didn't know what to do. In the end it took Charles a lot longer, convincing Eric the way Eric convinced him that he wasn't a freak, that it was okay to be a normal person, and he was able to return to his normal personality. But it was also at that time that Eric made up his mind that no matter whether he was a mutant or not, he would be by Charles's side. As a friend who would never fight back if he was beaten, if he encountered any danger in the future, Eric would. I really can't think of how he will solve it. So from junior high school, Eric, who didn't like studying, worked hard to study. In high school and university, he barely got in with the bottom grades. This was an incredible thing at the time. Because Charles and Eric are the iconic names of top students and scumbags, it is not surprising that Charles was admitted to Harvard University, but it is very strange that Eric was able to get in. Even if it was the bottom of the list, he got it by himself. One can imagine how strong his obsession was at that time. Everyone's ability is different from person to person. Awakening is not random. It's normal for some mutants to live their entire lives with mutant genes without realizing it. It doesn't matter. My X system has a method for awakening mutant genes. As he said that, Hanyu's thumb jumped on the screen of the phone, and he said, X, help to stimulate Eric's ability. Reconfirmation is required. Are you going to awaken Mr. Eric's mutant gene? System X asked. Hanyu replied, yes, start now. Okay, this method is associated with certain risks, please accompany the personnel to be prepared. A trumpet-shaped icon suddenly appeared on the X system on the screen of the mobile phone. Immediately afterwards, Eric knelt down on the ground in an instant, covering his head with a painful expression on his face. Seeing this, both Hanyu and Charles panicked, and the former quickly asked, System, what are you doing? This method is to emit a sound wave that only the mutants can hear, to stimulate the mutant genes in the stealth mutants, to activate the sleeping genes, so as to activate the ability, and it is invalid for the mutants who have activated the mutant genes. System X replied. I did hear a very small sound. I thought it was tinnitus. So it was from your mobile phone. Charles listened carefully, and heard a very dense but very small sound. System X asked, is there any danger? The method is not dangerous, but the gene activation of the mutant will cause great pain to the other party. In medicine, it can be classified as the 13th degree of pain. The X system allows Charles and Hanyu who have not experienced this kind of pain to understand what the pain is like at once. There are 12 levels of pain in the medical division, and the highest level 12 is the pain of women during childbirth. This mutant gene awakening is actually even higher than that. Eric, are you okay? Charles squatted down and asked Eric, who was clenching his teeth at this time, and the bursting veins could be seen on his temples. The latter grinned, and said with a difficult smile, ha, that's all, just tickling. At the same time as he said this, beads of sweat kept rolling down his forehead, and his body began to tremble extremely visibly. After all, this is the activation of mutant genes. It is not ordinary people who suddenly acquire superpowers. Although there are mutant genes in the body of recessive mutants, they are sleeping, and they are required to wake up suddenly and enter an active state. This feeling is equivalent to consciously feeling the rebirth of internal organs, and the pain is not something everyone can bear. Eric, if you can't bear it, just call out. I have isolated this room from the outside, and the voice inside cannot be heard from the outside. Hanyu said, his mental strength can still do this. Are you kidding me? How could I call? Eric still wanted to speak hard, but just halfway through saying this, the pain in his body increased a lot, and now he really couldn't bear it, and was made to lie on the ground by the pain, trembling constantly. The severe pain lingered in his body wave after wave like waves, and it was unimaginable that a grown man with a healthy body and mind could howl like that. Charles couldn't bear to see it. He knew how resistant his good friend was. When he stood up for him, he was beaten by 4 people without making a scream, but now he is howling like this. Come on, Eric, you can do it, you can do it. Hey, it still hurts. It's great. I basically say goodbye to the pain now. Why don't I find a place to put a few nuclear bombs on me someday? Hanyu muttered, Charles overheard his words, and the latter gave him a very helpless look. Charles didn't really believe that even the nuclear bomb would not hurt him. Just when Han Yu was nagging, his expression suddenly changed. And he quickly stood in front of Charles, and the mental power in his mind surged out, protecting himself and Charles behind him. The next moment, the surrounding things suddenly shattered, cups, tables, and glass. Charles didn't feel anything because he was standing behind Han Yu, but he watched these things burst out of thin air strangely, and the source came from Eric. Chapter 105 The Ability to Exchange. Eric, are you okay? Charles was about to step forward to check on Eric's situation, but was stopped by Han Yu, who shook his head slightly. I can't go up now, his ability has been awakened, and now is the uncontrollable stage, let him digest it first. The spiritual power in Han Yu's mind flooded towards Eric, forming a vague cocoon around him, preventing him from destroying things outside. Hearing this, Charles was a little surprised. It turned out that it was Eric who burst the surrounding things out of thin air. Although Charles was worried, he was not an impulsive person. Seeing what Han Yu said, he backed away, but his face still had a deeply worried expression. Come on, Eric, don't fail. Seeing Eric curled up on the ground, shaking constantly, Han Yu clenched his fists and murmured. Charles looked at Han Yu in a strange way. Although it was the first time they met, he acted like he wanted Eric to awaken successfully even more than himself. Could it be a lie? No, Charles could see that one of his doctorates was in psychology. Although he couldn't see through it at a glance, he could still analyze whether he was duplicity from some micro-expressions of others. From Han Yu's face, Charles saw only genuine anxiety and anticipation. It was because of this that he felt strange why he wanted Eric to wake up so much. It was the first time they met. In fact, Magneto King Eric is one of Han Yu's favorite Marvel characters, because he never thought of actively hurting others, and he turned bad in the comics because of the cruel experience of World War II and witnessing the crazy attack of humans on mutants. As a last resort, Magneto King Eric stood up and led the mutants to rebel against humans. Han Yu liked Magneto more than Professor X, who wanted to make peace. If he was a mutant, he would definitely join Magneto without hesitation. Party. They're not wrong, they just want to live, but they can't tolerate alien humans, and it's impossible for mutants who threaten them to live unharmed. Time passed quickly. Seeing Eric trembling violently from the beginning to the trembling frequency slowly decreasing now, nearly 20 minutes passed. When Eric's body stopped trembling, Han Yu also lifted the protection of his mental power, walked to his side first, and helped him up. Charles also came up at this time and asked, "Are you okay?" Panting quickly, Eric's body was already soaked in sweat, and he smiled weakly, "I still can't die, this feels more like a hangover." Seeing that he could still joke like this, Charles was relieved, and the latter would be afraid if he suddenly became serious. "Come on, eat one of these first." Han Yu took out a fairy bean and handed it to Eric. Eric took the fairy bean, looked at it over and over again, and smelled it again. He didn't swallow it until Han Yu said dumbfounded that it was not poisonous. "Oh, what the hell, I'm actually full of energy again." Eric stood up and moved his hands and feet. His body, which had been a little exhausted due to the severe pain, became full of strength again. "Don't worry about it, what is your ability, come and show it." Han Yu's words made even Charles look excited, and the two stared at Eric, asking him to show off his mutant ability. "Let me try." Hearing this, Eric calmed down and carefully felt the changes in his body. The next moment, he looked at Han Yu and the two, "It seems that this is my superpower." This sentence, Eric did not open his mouth, but passed directly into the minds of the two of Han Yu. Sure enough, it's telepathy. The abilities of these two friends have been swapped. It's interesting. Han Yu thought. After seeing Charles's ability to control the magnetic field, he thought of the possibility of Eric's ability being telepathy. Wouldn't it be interesting? They loved each other and killed each other in the previous life, and each other's abilities brought them a lot of trouble. Now it is very interesting to see their abilities swapped. I can't read minds or something, can I? Eric continued to use his ability to directly transmit the words to the minds of Han Yu and the other two. No, your ability is telepathy. You can enter other people's brains without touching their bodies, read or even modify other people's memories and thoughts, and control their actions. Han Yu said slowly. So smart. Eric is a little unbelievable. Does his ability have such lethality? Although it doesn't look as cool as Charles can twist metal, it is still an extremely good ability. Very good, now that both of you have the ability, let's start our plan earlier. We must gather before the mutants are seen by the world, so as not to cause trouble. Instead of letting Eric continue to immerse himself in the strength of his abilities, Han Yu directly talked about his plan with the two of them, and the latter two immediately listened to them, expressing their opinions from time to time, and Han Yu also accepted and improved. After all, this was originally custom made by the two of them. Han Yu brought it from another world and told Charles about it. It is not surprising that they would have their own ideas. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening when they finished talking about the plan. If there were no classmates knocking on the door outside, saying that the coffee shop was going to be closed, they could even talk all night. Oops, the things in this room. At this time, they came to their senses. When Eric awakened the mutant gene just now, he broke many things in the room. At that time, Han Yu's mental power was isolated, and no sound could be heard outside. How do I explain it now? Such a large area of things is broken, it's hard to say that it was broken casually. It's okay, I'll come. Han Yu smiled. This was a simple thing for him. He communicated with the grocery store system in his heart and spent 1 upgrade point to restore the room to its previous appearance. This move directly shocked Charles and Eli. What kind of operation is this? On the surface, he pretended not to care, but in fact, Han Yu was already bleeding in his heart, spraying the grocery store system crazily. I have only restored such a small amount of things in the room, and you want me to upgrade? I am the owner, do you want to upgrade? Is it so fun to cheat my host like this? Perhaps the conscience of the grocery store system suddenly released a mission. Ding, trigger a branch mission, the ability to collect 2 mutants. The source of the mission, the power of the Dead King. Hearing this sound, Han Yu breathed a sigh of relief. While Charles and Eric were not paying attention, he slapped 2 decade cards on them, and got a card with their abilities. Complete the branch task and reward 50 upgrade points. Han Yu quietly glanced at the card, and the name prefix on the card changed. Magneto Professor Charles. Ex-King Eric. Chapter 106 Site Selection. Good guy, even this has been changed. It's okay to change the ability, but it's too frustrating to change the name. Han Yu couldn't help laughing out loud, because the Chinese written on the card can be read in English, but the translation into Chinese is particularly frustrating. What's the matter? Seeing Han Yu laughing alone in the back, Eric asked. It's okay, I'm thinking of something happy. Han Yu waved his hand quickly and said. Oh. Eric nodded, so don't ask too much about other people's affairs. After all, the two have only known each other for less than a day, so it's not good to ask too much. Han Yu, who had explained the good things to the two, decided to go back to New York that night. After all, he was still the manager of the grocery store. He could only help with the Mutant Academy incident, and it was impossible to do it himself. Both Eric and Charles are reliable people, and Han Yu, who has explained some details clearly, can go back with confidence. Then I'm going back to New York. I didn't expect the matter to be resolved so quickly. The phone number and address have been saved for you. Feel free to contact me if you have anything. Well, don't worry, I'll tell you when we're done building it. You have the position of principal with us. Don't forget to come back to visit your students occasionally and give them advice. Charles laughed. Han Yu nodded helplessly. He wanted Charles or Eric to take the position of principal, but the two insisted on giving him the position, not to shirk responsibility. They also knew that Han Yu would not often when you come back, let them do all the work. Charles explained this to Han Yu, because Han Yu proposed this matter, and he helped the mutants. Those mutant children who have never seen him must at least know who paid to help them, so that they can have a normal life. Hearing Charles's explanation, Han Yu was a little moved. As expected, he saw the right person, and he didn't refuse any more. He took over the position of principal, and said that he would pay attention to the academy. The night Han Yu left, Charles resigned from the school, and the matter of the Mutant Academy was urgent. Charles himself is very rich, and now with Han Yu's investment, they can do many things freely, without worrying about the future. Because the number of people was uncertain, when they chose the location of the academy, they chose a remote place, so as to ensure that ordinary people would not come here casually, and there was also a large enough place for mutant children to move around. Billions of dollars were spent just to select a piece of land, and tens of billions of dollars were spent on construction afterwards. This is not a college, it is clearly a small town. In order to get these things done, Eric used his telepathic ability a lot to disturb the other party's thoughts a little, so that the other party would not feel strange and could agree to their request. The current Eric can't remember directly. He can only interfere with the other party's thinking in a small amount to get the other party to agree. It's just that these are things for later. The Mutant Academy can't be built in a day. After returning to the grocery store, Kuei Yin and Wanda have absorbed all the liquid medicine, and Ultron has also completed the body fusion. Now the three of them are practicing in the utility room that has opened up a different space. After the body was strengthened, Kuei Yin's moving speed was several grades faster than before. The reason why he was not so fast before was probably because his body couldn't bear the speed. Now that he has been strengthened, his speed can be accelerated a lot. Wanda's changes are not visible from the outside. The strengthening of her body has made her endurance and thinking ability much faster. She can understand chaos magic more thoroughly, and her casual attacks have reached the level of distorting space. On the surface, the scariest thing is Ultron. He stood there, and his ordinary punch actually brought a piercing sonic boom. When he swung his punch, the sound of the fist wind resounded throughout the different space. Reverberates. It can be seen that this is just his ordinary punch. To be serious, Han Yu feels that this punch can give the earth a middle point. Hey, stop punching around, it's so noisy. Kuei Yin covered his ears and said dissatisfiedly, Wanda, talk to him too. Wanda shrugged, turned her body and pointed to her ear, and said, I used magic to block the sound, so I can't hear it. Hey, I'll go, is there such an operation? Kuei Yin was dumbfounded. He thought that he couldn't beat Ultron anyway, so he would definitely ignore him. After some psychological struggle, he gave Ultron a middle finger, and then used the green light ring to make a pair of his own headphones to achieve sound isolation. As soon as he got out the earphones, he saw Ultron looking back with a happy expression on his face. Boss, you are back. You. The two happily ran to Han Yu, surrounded him and talked about how they had changed. Kuei Yin stood alone in the distance, wanting to cry but without tears. You are not targeting me, are you? That night, in order to celebrate Ultron's successful integration of the new body, Wanda and Kuei Yin's body reached the level of the US team. Han Yu personally cooked and served authentic hometown dishes. Ao Chuang ate the food, and really almost burst into tears. He looked at Han Yu, his mouth was full of food, and he muttered indistinctly, Big brain, or the life of the nest is the life of mud, we will not hesitate to go up the mountain of knives and bring disasters down. In order to show his determination, Ao Chuang still said this in Chinese, but his voice was distorted because of the food. Han Yu tasted it for a while before he realized what he just said, and took a picture with a smile. Pat him on the shoulder. My own people, don't say such foreign words. Han Yu also joined the ranks of dry rice. After strengthening his physique, Kuei Yin and Wanda both ate a lot. What Wanda usually can handle with half a bowl of rice, he actually ate 3 bowls tonight, and Kuei Yin, an old rice cook, actually ate nearly 10 bowls. In the matter of eating, Kuei Yin can still be compared with Ultron, and the latter does not lose to him, and the food he eats catches up with him in no time, reaching 10 bowls. Seeing the two wolfing down their food, Han Yu smiled and shook his head, not caring, and went to cook some more food for them. After eating, Kuei Yin and Ultron's meal could be equivalent to a family of 3's meals for a month. The job of washing the dishes naturally fell on the shoulders of Kuei Yin. With his super-fast speed, it took him less than 2 seconds to clean up the worry table, and the dishes were also washed. Han Yu couldn't help sighing. Pietro, that's great. After eating and drinking, there must have been a wave of exciting game sessions. The 4 of them went upstairs to turn on the phone and opened GTA. What are we playing, a robbery mission? Han Yu asked. Let's play ranked. I added the team shootout and blast shootout you mentioned earlier. There are a lot of good reviews. Ultron said. Oh? Is this already online? Interesting, let's try it. Launching team shootouts and blasting shootouts in GTA was not available in the GTA series in the previous life. The reason why Han Yu dared to do this was because of the century-breaking nature of GTA. Ultron alone can maintain the powerful computing power of the entire game, and the most incredible lack of banknote capacity. This made Han Yu dare to create casually. Anyway, good or bad, he couldn't find a second game that could shake the status of GTA. Chapter 107 Bloody Abuse. When it came to the game, Han Yu was about to pull them in, but found a window popped up in front of him. The rank gap between you and your friends is too large to rank. Han Yu was speechless. He looked at his icon. The icons of Bronze, Ultron, and the others were already in the gold rank. The ranks of this game are divided into Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Master, and Gun King. Each rank is divided into 5 levels, with the highest level being the highest level and the lowest level being the 5th level. Don't look at Ultron and they are only ranked 3rd level of Gold, but don't forget that this is a mode that has just been launched. Even if you can play, you have to rank your opponent. When most players are still adapting to this mode, being able to hit Gold is already a very good result. After all, this game will not be filled with robots just because there are no players in the lower ranks. The enemies you encounter at each rank are real players. At around the 3rd level of Gold, it has already been on the top game list, which can be seen by players all over the world. Oh, forget it, I'll go solo first, you play robbery missions, I'll be promoted to find you soon. It is not difficult for Han Yu to score higher points. He is an old player and has a very high marksmanship, completely blowing away 99% of the current players. Because his rank is too low, and his marksmanship is too good, he received abuse from the opposite side. Your skills don't go to high ranks to call low ranks to abuse food. I'm so envious, you can be reunited during the holidays alone. Why can't I meet something like you while playing games? In this mode, you can choose not to display the game name, and only use the color to distinguish it. The other party does not know that the player you are scolding is a player that people have been looking for on the World Channel all this time, Joker. The scolding made Han Yu laugh. He hesitated for a while, and then typed a sentence on the screen, I'm in solo, why don't I take you? Boss, what's your name? Boss, do you still have internet fees? If it's not enough, I'll charge you a little. Brother, have you eaten? Do you need me to order takeaway for you? This scene made Han Yu dumbfounded. The other party really loves this game deeply, otherwise he would not insult the other party because of winning or losing the game, let alone insult the other party just because he just insulted the other party. When the other party said he could lead people, he would immediately put it down. Body to be a licking dog. In order to score higher, I really can do anything. Han Yu shook his head helplessly, and didn't say much. He formed a team and pulled them in. If someone could listen to his arrangement, he could fight. Those players said that as long as they can score higher, Han Yu can order whatever they want. Most of the day had passed, and when they opened their record sheets, they were all green icons for victory, and there was no red icon for a round of defeat. The few players who were brought up were numb from the shock of Han Yu's technique. Although the latter said that this is a team game, as long as they cooperate well, the game can be won faster. But in the subsequent battles, they were just like giving meat shields. Going up is free, and if you hesitate, you will lose. When the screen turns grey, you are watching Han Yu's operations. In a game of 12 rounds with a team of 5, Han Yu won more than 50 kills by himself, and the teammate he led weakly asked, Boss, you shouldn't be cheating. Other teammates also have this idea in mind, because the cheating detection of this game is very strict. As long as it is detected, he will not only block your account, but directly block your IP, and even if you change your account afterwards, you will not be able to play. After more than a dozen players who are not afraid of death are banned, other players will not dare to cheat. Many internet cafes use GTA to run perfectly as a gimmick. As the most popular game at the moment, the appearance of GTA makes many internet cafes stay up all night. The owner of the internet cafe was very happy when all the seats were full. They also said that once they found cheating players coming in, they would invite them out and stop receiving such guests. This also made players feel how terrifying GTA's dominance is in reality. Han Yu said with a smile, I don't have the hookup, but at the level of the opposite side, I find it troublesome to turn on the hookup. As expected of our big brother, if you speak hard, then I can rest assured. Boss, are you hungry? Let me order you some takeaway. Don't be hungry. Knowing that Han Yu is a real game master, they lay down in peace and asked Han Yu from time to time if he was hungry or thirsty, and they could order takeaway for him. The speed of the score soared, and when Ultron and the others were in the gold rank, Han Yu got off the car and joined Ultron's team. The few players just now were a little bit disappointed. The boss left, so they couldn't lie down and win. Forget it, let's play by ourselves, this level is enough for us to boast. Someone said, and then they fired again, and this time they found that there was a sniper rifle on the opposite side who shot very hard. Obviously he was in the position of a sniper, but he turned into a submachine gun in a daze, rushed up from the middle lane at the beginning, and unreasonably killed all the enemies that appeared in his field of vision. Fuck, the boss is going to the opposite side. Someone exclaimed, they are too familiar with this style of play. Isn't this the style of Hanyu's style of play? Take a sniper and charge directly, and the shot is accurate. They will also see Hanyu if they can have this style of play. Boss, is that you? Someone typed and asked. After a while, the other party sent a sentence, he, how are you all? I didn't expect that we would be opponents in this round. Seeing this sentence, their hearts were like countless grass times horses stepping by. The sniper on the opposite side was really the boss who brought them to the top. This is a fart, who can beat it? Let's just quit the game. Someone said. Retire what? Fight, boss, this is a good technique and not cheating, as long as it is not cheating, there must be a chance to win. The other side. Ao Chuang said, boss, their style of play has suddenly become fiercer, and they are still not discouraged. Hanyu smiled and said, this is the charm of competitive games. Even if the opponent is difficult to fight, you have to bite the bullet. Stop teasing them and show some real skills. Hearing what Hanyu said, Ao Chuang and Kuei Yan, who had been paddling, also became serious. The best way to respect their opponents is to do their best. It's just that Hanyu and the three of them tried their best, so it's really impossible for people to stop them. Meeting each other is like shooting the lock. If they didn't know Hanyu's style, it would be really hard not to think that the other party was cheating. The final result was just a random killing on Hanyu's side. Hanyu's four-person team added a passerby. After this round, Ultron and the others couldn't match anyone, because they were already the highest in this rank, and they could wait nearly 10 minutes for a match. It seems that we can only fight here today. Let's wait for a few more days, and we will fight again when the players have all come up. Hanyu smiled helplessly. This was the first time he quit the game not because he was beaten, but because he reached the top and no one was matched. I'm not going to stay overnight with you, I'm going to have a beauty sleep. Wanda got off the plane early and went back to sleep. Although she had taken the liquid medicine made from the blood of Captain America, which made her have a far more human body, her habit of going to bed early has not changed. Hanyu immediately turned off the phone and followed. The two of Ao Chuang were still a little confused and said, Boss, where are you going? Hanyu said, Sleep, you single dog, go play your game. Ultron and Kuei Yan looked at each other with black question marks on their faces. I'm single and I'm proud, what's wrong? Chapter 108 Rare Guest. In the early morning, Hanyu got up early in the morning. After tucking the quilt for Wanda who was sleeping soundly beside him, he got up and went to open the door. Passing the computer room, he heard voices coming from inside. Pietro, only take gold, how many times have I told you, don't take banknotes, the banknotes are not worth as much as gold. Why are you so loud? I thought banknotes were worth more. The conversation between the two of Ao Chuang made Hanyu dumbfounded, he shook his head helplessly, instead of choosing to enter, he went downstairs to open the shop door. Pushing open the door of the shop, the morning air was refreshing. After Hanyu stretched his waist, he realized that there was a person standing by the door. The man was wearing a hooded coat, his face could not be seen clearly, and the clothes on his body were incompatible with the surrounding scenery. He was wearing a yellow tunic with an oriental style. Seeing Hanyu looking at him, the man said slowly, Excuse me, is this a Eugian grocery store? The voice that came out was a female voice, and with this voice and this attire, Hanyu had already guessed the identity of the other party, and said with a smile, a rare visitor, the Supreme Mage is not teaching strange magic at Comitage, so come to my small shop in person, it really makes Bai Xiao Dian flourish. On the face under the hood, the brow without eyebrows raised slightly, lifted his hat, and another bald head appeared in the crowd. This person is the mage from the Supreme Sanctuary, Ancient One, who is also the most powerful mage on Earth today, who specializes in resisting damage from the magic world. The Strange in Hanyu's mouth is the next Supreme Sorcerer, known as Dr. Strange. As expected of someone who can lift Thor's hammer and convince the Avengers, he knows a lot. Hello, I'm Guyi. Guyi smiled lightly and stretched out his hand, and Hanyu also smiled and shook hands with her. You don't know as much. I'm Hanyu, come in and talk. Hanyu was not surprised why Guyi knew that he could lift Thor's hammer. With the opponent's strength, it was too easy to know this kind of thing. Giving up a seat, Gu nodded to him, then walked into the grocery store, led by Han Yu to the restaurant, found a place for chatting, and sat down. Mage Guyi came here in person this time, did something happen? Han Yu brought 2 cups of tea, put one in front of Guyi, and asked. It's not a big deal. You said it just now. You know that Strange went to Karmitage to find me. Guyi took a sip of tea, and the fragrance of the tea overflowed in her mouth, causing her to raise her eyebrows involuntarily. Good tea. Yes, what's the matter? I guess he should also go to Karmitage at this time. Han Yu also picked up his teacup, took a sip, and said. Guyi smiled without saying a word, shaking the teacup slightly, looking at the tea leaves settled in the bottom of the cup, and after a while, she said, Mr. Han shouldn't be from this timeline, right? Han Yu, who also lowered his head and shook the teacup, had a sharp look in his eyes. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and said calmly on the surface, what do you mean? I think Mr. Han knows that my profession is the Supreme Mage, and I have guarded the Time Gem, one of the infinite gems, for generations. Guyi said. Han Yu looked up at Guyi, raised his head slightly to signal him to continue. I used the Time Gem to see the future changes, and I knew what happened after that, so I would not make any changes, I would just go with the flow, but one day, a sudden change happened, and some things happened ahead of schedule. When I used the Time Gem to peek into the future, I found that the Time Gem could not see the future. Besides, Strange didn't come to see me. The day before he was supposed to have a car accident, he survived unharmed. I'm thinking that there is only one possibility. Someone must have intervened in this timeline and changed the time. Even the Infinity Stones can't predict the change in the timeline of his arrival. Guyi stared at Han Yu and said, I think. It should be because of your arrival, Mr. Han, that the timeline has changed. You don't belong to this world, or rather, this universe. Having said this, Han Yu, who had been silent all this time, gradually raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a smile of unknown meaning. Guyi looked calm on the surface, but the naturally hanging hand had already touched the hanging ring hanging on his leg. This is a peculiar ring that can open the door of space. As long as Han Yu intends to make a move, she will immediately put on the hanging ring to carry out fighting. Normally, she hangs it on her waist. The reason why she hangs it on her lap this time is because she thinks that Han Yu will definitely ask her to sit in. When sitting, it is a natural movement to put her hands on her lap. It's too obvious on the waist. Han Yu suddenly applauded lightly, and a few seconds later, he said with a smile, You are indeed the ancient master who has absorbed the dark energy of Domamu and lived for hundreds of years. His knowledge are as good as heaven and earth, and you are still the first. A person who knows my true identity, so, are you going to kill me? Han Yu leaned on the back of the chair, raised Erlang's legs, and folded his hands on his knees. When he said this, a faint pressure radiated from him, circling around Guyi without pressing go. Hearing that the other party actually knew that he had absorbed dark energy to prolong his life, Guyi's face changed slightly. She had never even said such a thing to her closest disciple, which shows how much Han Yu knew. Guyi could sense the pressure coming from the surroundings. Although she didn't attack, the occasional little pressure made her cheeks twitch. The young man in front of her would be her most difficult opponent in so many years. Maybe even he can't beat the opponent. She took a deep breath and said, No, I'm here to ask for something. Oh? Ask for one thing, let's talk about it. Han Yu instantly withdrew his coercion, and said with great interest. The suddenly relaxed Guyi took a long breath and said, I want to ask, can you let Wanda from your store come to our Supreme Sanctuary? I want to train her to be the next generation of Supreme Mage. Guyi's request was somewhat unexpected, something Han Yu never expected. He picked up the teacup again, but no one came to pour the tea in the cup, but he filled it up by himself, and it was still hot. Han Yu asked, Why did you choose her? Guyi said, I know that she has awakened a powerful magic called Chaos. In the timeline I saw with the Time Gem, it took her at least 5 years to reach this intensity, but now she has reached it. Even stronger than the Wanda I saw, if she can come to me, I have the confidence to train her to become a supreme mage that surpasses me and Strange. Chapter 109 Leave. Han Yu was silent, he was a time traveler, he came from the fourth wall outside the Marvel world, he knew that Strange would be Doctor Strange, and Guyi in the movie commented on him as Strange the best of us. Now Guyi said that Wanda has the ability to surpass Doctor Strange. Han Yu knew that this was most likely because she had received a lot of enhancements in her shop. Otherwise, according to the progress of Wanda in the original movie, even she in the final battle is not as good as the Wanda who is now beside Han Yu. If Wanda's spell value was 1000 in the past, now Wanda has broken through 10,000, which is 10 times the original value, which is outrageously strong. Seeing that Han Yu didn't refuse immediately, it meant there was something to be done. Gu looked happy, and quietly sipped his tea, waiting for Han Yu's reply. It's okay for her to go. I really don't know about magic. I can help her unleash her potential, but I can't bring her one step closer. But if she goes with you and becomes a supreme mage, what about you? Han Yu asked Road. Gu Yi smiled slightly and said, I will follow the link to release the dark space, and stop absorbing dark energy to maintain my life. At that time, my aging speed will increase visible to the naked eye, and I should have died long ago. When saying this, Gu Yi didn't have any fear of facing death, only relieved. Indeed, as a decent supreme mage, she has been absorbing the villain's dark energy to maintain her life. What is called vanity or dark psychology? No, it's just that Gu Yi hasn't been able to find someone who is qualified to succeed him and become the supreme mage. Every supreme sorcerer has the ability to influence the real world. If this position falls into the hands of the wicked, the world will usher in disaster. Han Yu nodded silently. Gu Yi is a character, even he agrees. In order to protect the earth, she has paid a lot, and she did not hesitate to absorb the dark energy of Dormammu, the villain of their supreme sanctuary, to maintain her life, just to wait for someone she can trust, to replace her. Let me talk to Wanda. Han Yu stood up, turned to go upstairs, and was really taken aback because Wanda, who was dressed neatly, was standing at the stairs. Did you hear that? From where? From the beginning. Then what do you think? I am willing to go. I know that I have great potential, but I can't develop it now. I don't want to hold you back. If it can make me stronger, strong enough to protect you and this store, then I am willing to pay the price. Wanda looked at Han Yu without hesitation. This beautiful woman who always obeyed his advice and never made a fuss had a firm look in her eyes at this time. Han Yu stepped forward to wrap his arms around Wanda's slender waist, and kissed Wanda lightly. After an unknown amount of time, the two parted ways. You don't need to pack your luggage, there is everything there. Gu Yi's words sounded behind the two of them. Wanda looked at Han Yu affectionately, stroked the latter's face with her slender hands, walked to Gu Yi's side, and said, I will definitely come back. Gu Yi, take good care of her. Han Yu said. Don't worry, she won't be wronged there. After all, Gu Yi put on the hanging ring, opened the door of space, bid farewell to Han Yu, and left with Wanda. The room was quiet again, only the cups on the table still exuded a slight warmth, proving that someone had been there before. And Han Yu didn't come back to his senses for a long time. He touched his mouth in a daze, a little dazed. At this time, a palm was pressed on his shoulder. Okay, it's not a farewell to life and death, and I will come back, so I don't have to stare at it so infatuatedly. Ao Chuang is right, my sister likes you so much, she will definitely come back, don't worry, sadness is not for us. Han Yu turned his head, and Ao Chuang and Kuei Yan appeared behind him at some point, but he didn't realize it at all. He took a long breath, and his usual smile appeared on his face. You're right, sadness is really not suitable for us. Well, there are no women in the house, let's get high. Woohoo! Ultron and Kuei Yan went upstairs with their arms around each other's shoulders. While going upstairs, they were talking about how to have a good day with Han Yu today. While talking, the two had a disagreement and actually fought. Seeing these two live treasures, Han Yu shook his head with a broken smile, looked towards the place where Wanda left, and murmured, Wanda, come on, I'll wait for you to come back. During the game, Han Yu's mobile phone received an encrypted text message from the US team. When he clicked on the text message, it contained a photo. The person in the photo is no stranger. Alexander Pierce, the leader of Hydra, was also the guy who was frightened by himself when he came to the grocery store that day. Han Yu made a phone gesture to Ultron and the others, and the latter nodded knowingly, and he dialed out the phone. Steve, what's the matter with Alexander Pierce? After the Winter Soldier incident, the relationship between the two has improved a lot, so now Han Yu can directly call Captain America by his name. As you can see, Pierce left your grocery store last time. By the time we caught him, he was already crazy and mumbling all day long. We wanted to transfer him to another prison. On the way he exploded suddenly, killed 4 of our agents and escaped, and now he has come back in this appearance, and has been hunting and killing our SHIELD people. I think I need to tell you something. The US team explained the current situation to Han Yu on the other end of the phone. You can't find him? Han Yu asked with some doubts. He understands some deficiencies of our SHIELD investigation equipment, and uses that weakness to evade detection. In the past, he would even pretend to be murderous, but now he doesn't care about it at all, and directly shows his bloodlust. Affection. Captain America said that even across the phone, Han Yu could imagine that his expression must be very serious now. I see. I also plan to go to the SHIELD building. Let's meet at Fury's office at 9 o'clock. Han Yu looked at his watch. It was only after 7 o'clock. Okay. Captain America replied. If Han Yu could intervene in this matter, the matter would definitely be resolved faster, but because of Han Yu's intervention, he found that this matter was a bit unusual. What's the matter, boss, do you need us? After Han Yu hung up the phone, Ao Chuang came over and asked excitedly. Now he has a human body, but he is taller than a human, and he is always looking forward to something happening, because just punching empty fists in the utility room can't test his strength at all, and he can only show his strength when a strong enemy strikes. Chapter 110 Mirror Space. Well, follow me first, you two can't play games in the store all day long. Han Yu doesn't know what Pierce has become, but what makes Captain America feel troublesome must not be as simple as an ordinary robber. Let's go. Han Yu rarely took himself out to do things, which made both Ao Chuang and Kuei Yin feel a little excited. The game is certainly fun, but they want to go out more. Kong has a strong strength but can't pretend to be forceful. How can this be possible? The two turned off their phones and went back to the room, changed their clothes and came out, waiting for Han Yu. Seeing the enthusiasm of the two of them, Han Yu was a little helpless. It seemed that he had kept the two of them in the store for too long, and he was so excited when he said he was going to take them out. Both of you know how to drive? Han Yu asked Ao Chuang. Yes. Ultron replied that he was born as a robot, and he has practiced this basic skill many times. Although he now has a human body, his nerves are still connected to the internet, and he can surf the internet just like when he was a man of steel. I'm not bad. I have practiced many times in the game, and I also bought a complete set of racing controller equipment. I have been running for a long time under the guidance of Ultron. Apart from not having a driver's license, I can basically be regarded as an above-average racer. Kuei Yin said proudly that what he said was true. When Han Yu passed by his room, he had seen a device similar to the cab of a car, and he had even played with it. That's good, let's keep a low profile this time, and won't fly over. Every time it's so fast, it's like rushing to a funeral. Anyway, Washington, where the SHIELD? Han Yu smiled, talked to the grocery store system, and gave Ao Chuang and Kuei Yin a website. The two opened it and found that there were various luxury cars on it, and they were even the world's top luxury cars. Kuei Yin's eyes suddenly lit up, he turned his head suddenly to look at Han Yu, and asked, Boss, can we drive all these cars? Han Yu smiled and nodded, choose one at will, it's my little gift for you. This is what Han Yu exchanged with 1 upgrade point. He thinks it is okay to exchange for 3 top luxury cars. As of now, he has 83 upgrade points left, which is still a long time away from the 500 points needed for promotion. Fuck, the real thing is more handsome than the game, you wait, let me choose carefully. Kuei Yin's eyes can't wait to stick to the screen. This is still his first car, so of course he can't be careless. I've chosen. Ao Chuang's selection speed was much faster, and he said to Han Yu, can I just click to buy? Han Yu stepped forward and saw that the model Ultron chose was the McLaren F1, which is Ultron's favorite car in GTA. He has already bought all the McLaren cars in GTA. Han Yu nodded and looked back at Kuei Yin. This guy was struggling between 2 luxury cars. Suddenly he ran back to the room, and when he came back, there was a coin in his hand. Come on, choose this on tails, choose that on heads. Quicksilver took a deep breath nervously, repeating this sentence over and over again. Han Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As for being so cautious, they can buy it by themselves when they have money. With the 3 people's skills in GTA, it will be a matter of time before they become billionaires in the game, and then converting the money into real currency is also a dizzying amount. As for being so entangled. As soon as the coin was tossed, Kuei Yin caught it before it landed. Then he clicked on the car on the left and chose to buy it. It was a silver Bugatti Veyron. So it was decided suddenly, and the coins haven't dropped yet. Han Yu asked. Kuei Yin looked at the coin in the book and said, to toss the coin, I want it to choose an answer for me, but the moment the coin is thrown in the air, the side I want it to appear in my mind is already my answer gone. Quiet. What's wrong? After Kuei Yin finished speaking, he saw Han Yu and Ao Juang staring straight at each other without saying anything, and felt a little hairy. Is this the Pietro we know? It looks the same, but the words don't sound like him. Can that guy say such words? Han Yu and Ao Juang seemed to be whispering, but their voices were not lowered at all, and Kuei Yin could hear them clearly. You two guys, can't I just say something in-depth once in a while? Kuei Yin blushed a little after being told, what he just said did not match his usual personality, but do people have to change? All right, this is not a joke between brothers. Han Yu quickly made a haha, seeing Kuei Yin's appearance as a bit of a joke. In the end, he also chose a sports car, Pagani Zonda, with a very good body shape and black as the main body. Okay, let's go, the destination has been set in the car navigation, as long as you follow the navigation, you will never get lost. Han Yu got into the car with a smile. In the alley behind the grocery store, 3 luxury cars had already appeared out of thin air. The real ones looked more domineering than the online ones. Even Ultron found his own car with a little excitement, and sat in it to experience the feel. Han Yu's car was the first one. He looked at the 2 cars behind which had started their engines, smiled slightly, and drove out first, followed by the 2 sports cars behind. 3 roaring sports cars suddenly appeared on the street in broad daylight, and the rate of turning heads was extremely high. After all, the sound of the engine was not enough to be ignored. This street has become an arena for the 3 of them, secretly competing with each other. A traffic policeman had been eyeing the 3 luxury cars that appeared suddenly, and could see what they were comparing with. He wanted to go up and stop them, but the latter was very conscious that no one would break the traffic rules, so that these traffic policemen I can only stare blankly. At the same time, Wanda has arrived at the Holy of Holies where the Supreme Mage is. Walking in the aisle, she is looking around the structure curiously. Houses are mostly constructed of wood, without any nails, and there are perfect gaps between the wood to achieve a perfect combination, and the nails have reached a very strong level. What's the matter, are you nervous? Gu saw her looking around and asked with a smile. Wanda shook her head and said, I'm not nervous. This is the first time I've come out alone. I used to act with my brother. After entering the grocery store, I usually do a lot of shopping. This trip, or the first time? Gu Yi smiled and said, from now on, you can regard this place as your home, and everyone who comes here will regard this place as their home. Chapter 111 Mage Dawn and Number 039, T-Fight Melee. Your name is Gu Yi, right? I want to ask, did you pick me because I have chaos magic? Wanda asked as she walked. She couldn't think of anything else besides magic that could make Gu Yi unlike her. While talking, the 2 came to an empty room. Gu Yi spread his hands to signal her to sit down, poured her a cup of tea, and then spoke. No, I've been observing you for a while, you are very kind, even if you have special skills, what you usually do most in the grocery store is doing laundry and cooking, right? Well, I think this is what I should do. Although Han Yu nicknamed me the Scarlet Witch, I don't care about fighting. And I don't really want to do those things, but if this will let the distance between me and him get farther and farther, then I will try my best to make myself stronger and not let myself be just a vase. Wanda said firmly, whether it is his brother Quicksilver Pietro or the later super robot Ultron, both of them now have combat power not weaker than their own. Now she has great potential alone, but she has no matching control method, and she is no different from a vase. This is also an important reason why Wanda agreed to Gu Yi to come to this place as soon as they met. She doesn't want to be a burden. So here she is. Very good, you have this heart is the best motivation, come on, let's see how far your magic has reached. Gu Yi raised her right hand and twirled her fingers lightly. The surrounding scene changed instantly. Countless mirror shards spread out from her hand, quickly enveloping the entire room. This is the mirror space, no matter what you do here, it will not affect the real world. Gu Yi smiled. Wanda nodded in surprise, and looked around. A woman dressed similarly to Gu Yi came in and poured tea for them. Wanda tried to shake her face. Reaction. Come on, show all your current strength. Gu Yi stood up and walked to the aisle in the room, standing with his hands behind his back. Wanda hesitated for a while, then got up and walked to the aisle. She said, "What should I do?" "Attack me with your usual fighting style." Gu Yi smiled. This. Wanda was a little hesitant. She was still very hesitant to attack Gu Yi, because she also had actual combat experience, and she clearly knew that her attack power was not weak. Gu Yi said, "Don't worry about shooting, if you easily defeat me, it means that you have great potential on the road of mage. If so, isn't that normal? Isn't it normal for you to come here to learn how to fight? Become the most powerful mage." Hearing this, Wanda stopped talking nonsense, and raised her slender palm. On top of her fingers, crimson magical energy swayed at her fingertips. With a sudden clenched palm, a strong energy burst out from Wanda's body. In the blink of an eye, several energy balls formed, and with Wanda's soft shout, they smashed towards Gu Yi. The energy contained in these countless energy balls made Gu's eyes look strange, and she raised her hands and waved, and a huge circular magic circle outlined by various shapes emerged in front of her, resisting Wang up to the energy attack. This level already has the strength of a senior magician. Gu Yi admired in his heart. Raising his hand is such a violent attack, even if it is placed in various sanctuaries, it can still serve as the guardian mage of the sanctuary, but Wanda's status in the future will not stop here. Wanda's attack hadn't stopped yet, and her palm was covered with a thick layer of crimson palm prints, which were condensed in the blink of an eye, and she slapped towards Gu Yi. The palm print gradually grew in size during the flight. It was only a few meters away, but it actually grew from a small palm print to more than 2 meters high. Gu Yi's face changed, and he thought, what a powerful attack, this attack method is quite special. Golden magic energy gushed out from Gu Yi, forming a small tripod in her palm, and with a wave of her hand, it flew towards Wanda's palm print. At this time, Gu Yi reacted slowly. No, too much energy will hurt Wanda. She was about to step forward to help Wanda resist the small tripod, but saw the small tripod collided with the palm print in mid-air, and a circle of energy ripples visible to the naked eye fluctuated from there to the surroundings. It actually cancelled out. Gu Yi showed a surprised expression. Seeing the energy ripples visible to the naked eye, she quickly summoned a shield to resist. Otherwise, the impact of this energy ripple alone would be enough to displace the internal organs of ordinary people. Gu Yi's physical condition is better than ordinary people, and it is impossible to resist this kind of shock. After resisting the impact of the energy ripple, Gu Yi's eyes suddenly straightened up, and his gaze was fixed on Wanda. At this time, the latter was waving his hand to disperse the energy ripple in mid-air, which made Gu Yi startled and said, "Didn't you use magic to resist this energy shock?" "No, it's quite comfortable." Wanda didn't know why the other party was surprised, and subconsciously asked her to say this honestly. Gu Yi's eyes were full of surprise. "Did the energy just now do no harm to you?" Gu Yi didn't believe it, because the energy contained in the small cauldron she just had was not small, and she hadn't encountered such a pure magic energy attack opponent for a long time, which made her forget for a moment that this was testing Wanda's strength, and thus condensed the small tripod. Among ordinary mages, this little cauldron was already so strong that even a dozen mages combined could not resist it. How could it not surprise her that it was easily dispelled by Wanda? Monster, monster! Gu Yi shook her head. Originally, she thought that the other party was equal to her at most, but now it seems that the other party's magic strength is not only higher than her own, but also physically stronger. These mages are characterized by strong magic and strong magic resistance, but the physical resistance is particularly weak. At most, they use magic to protect themselves to resist physical attacks. But after the magic dissipated, the magician's body was still not much different from that of ordinary people, and he would die if he was stabbed by a fruit knife. Gu Yi waved his hand, dispersed the mirrored space, and asked curiously, "Wanda, did Han Yu teach you this fighting style?" "That's right, he told me that mages shouldn't fight in melee. If you can hit long range, you must not get close to the opponent. The mage is supposed to deal large-scale damage from long range. He said that it is an idiot's behavior if he insists on being able to get close to the enemy." What she said made Gu Yi cover his face involuntarily. This is true, the mage's characteristic is indeed to use magic energy to attack, to achieve the palm cannon attack like Iron Man. Chapter 112 The Power of System X. But the problem is that the vast majority of mages on the earth do not have the energy background that allows them to release energy at will to attack. It can only be done by applying magic to magic implements in order to reduce the consumption of magic and increase the strength of attack or defense. Only using magic to attack, in the mage world on earth, only Guyi can do it. Your starting point is too high, it's ridiculously high, but it's okay, so you should be able to understand what I'm going to teach you faster. You should take a break today and adjust your mentality. We will start the specific exercises tomorrow. Guyi said, it's just that she lied. She didn't ask Wanda to rest and adjust her mentality, but she wanted to adjust her mentality. The people around Hanyu are all monsters. It's okay for Hanyu to be ridiculously strong alone, but now the women around him are also too strong to be outrageous. Guyi thought that if Hanyu didn't know how to teach magic, otherwise Wanda would already be at the level of a supreme mage. I have something to do with myself. Guyi suddenly felt that he had been living on a dog for so many years, and he was not as good as a girl in her 20s, which directly refreshed his worldview. At this time, the three of Hanyu had already arrived at the Shield building. As soon as they entered, Hanyu felt a lot of gazes from all around, and saw many people talking to those around them, and then pointing at himself. This kind of behavior looks hostile, but if you look carefully at their expressions, no matter whether it is a man or a woman, there is no malice on their faces, only a kind of surprise. Hanyu turned his head and pointed to his face, and asked Ultron and the others, is there anything wrong with me today? Kuei Yin shook his head blankly, but Ultron understood it. His current body function, no matter what kind of novel he put in, is a proper male protagonist. He has a well-developed hearing and heard their whispered discussions. Ultron smiled and said, it seems that your boss showed his power to solve Hydra and me in Sokovia. It has spread in S.H.I.E.L.D. They are all talking about you, but they are all good words, not slander. Some people even say that you are now the hidden director of SHIELD, and they are frightened by your age. Listening to Ultron's obviously flattering words, it could be heard that he was teasing himself. Hanyu rolled his eyes, didn't bother to pay attention to him, and murmured, the secrecy work done by S.H.I.E.L.D. is too inadequate. This identity can be exposed. Hanyu and the others walked to the elevator, pressed a button for the top floor, and then stood quietly at the innermost side of the elevator. Anyway, there must be only the three of them left in the end. The elevator stopped several times on the way, and saw that one of the people inside was Hanyu. All of them showed surprised expressions, looked at Hanyu secretly, and discussed that the real person was younger than the photo. The elevator is such a big place, no matter how they lowered their voices, they did not escape the ears of Hanyu and the three of them. Although it was not bad to say that they were being discussed by so many people, Hanyu also felt a little uncomfortable. Most of the reason is because the two guys around me are looking at me with a look of our boss is so powerful, and even when the other party says something, they will echo them, which makes Hanyu even more excited. Feel ashamed. Talk again and throw the two of you off the elevator. Hanyu's lips trembled slightly, and the voice was only audible to the two of Ao Juang. The latter shut up immediately, because Hanyu could really do such a thing. After all, neither of them could be killed. In this case Hanyu wouldn't have any psychological burden to throw them downstairs. Up to the top floor, Nick Fury, Captain America and Natasha were already discussing something there. To Hanyu's surprise, even the Winter Soldier was there. Han is here. Seeing Hanyu coming, Captain America came up to shake hands with him. Seeing the two people standing behind him, he also knew that they were people from his grocery store. Now Hanyu is also the director of SHIELD man, no one else can say anything. And the one who can come here with Hanyu must be a big force. The US team smiled and let the three of them take their seats. How is the situation now? Hanyu asked after taking his seat. Our satellites are already tracking Pierce all the time, as soon as he shows up, we can detect it immediately. Natasha said. How did you detect it? Normal facial recognition? Hanyu asked again. Yes, but our search equipment is very complete, and these should be enough. Natasha said. Obviously, these won't work. Hanyu looked at Ultron, who nodded. Even if Hanyu didn't say anything, he could understand what he meant. Ao Juang sat in front of the computer and moved his hands quickly on the keyboard. It was hard to imagine that a tall man of 1.9 meters and nearly 2 meters could tap the keyboard smaller than his fingernails so finely. Steve, look at his fingers. The Winter Soldier whispered to Captain America. It was only then that the US team discovered that there were small green beams of light under Ultron's fingers. Every time his fingers fell, the beams of light would hit the keyboard, and it was also because of this that he could hit every key accurately. "What are you doing?" Nick Fury asked. "This computer is connected to a lot of information from SHIELD." Seeing that Ultron has been typing on the keyboard, even though he was brought by Han Yu, it inevitably made Nick Fury a little confused. "It's done." Ao Chuang stopped, and he looked at Han Yu, who nodded to him, and he continued, "This is a program that our boss asked us to develop. X system is a super search system. I have now transmitted it to the SHIELD satellite, and using it to search will be faster." "It's true, I don't believe it." Nick Fury immediately said that their S.H.I.E.L.DS satellite detection methods are among the best in the world. Now that there is a system that is stronger than S.H.I.E.L.DS search system, he really doesn't believe it so easily. "Then let's wait and see." Through the satellite of SHIELD, the X system can automatically call up its DNA database according to the characteristics of the search target, conduct DNA searches on people all over the world, and analyze people's behaviors. Even if they do after disguising, some behavioral habits cannot be changed, and the X system can find out the subtle changes and find that person. It can actually be searched from people's behaviors and DNA. If this kind of system really exists, no one can hide under the sun. Nick Fury and the others looked at Han Yu, who was smiling not far away. This young man would surprise them every time. At the same time, Ultron's voice sounded. "I found someone." "Where?" "The system shows that Pierce is in this building." Chapter 113 Strange Pierce. "What?" Just when the few people were confused, the flames in the eyes of the US team continued to magnify in his eyes. "Be careful." As soon as the words fell, several RPG rockets shot from the building not far away, and directly hit the floor they were on. A huge explosion occurred instantly. Far. The three of Han Yu were also blown away by the blast for a certain distance, hit the ground and coughed several times, but because of the thick smoke, their bodies seemed to be fine at all. "Pietro, you're doing fine, the impact is not bad at all." Ultron looked at Kuei Yin, who also patted the dust on his body, and he seemed to be completely uninjured. "That's it, look at this." Kuei Yin showed Ultron his clothes. There was a very thin layer of green energy on the inside of the clothes, which fit perfectly on the clothes without any abruptness. "I have long developed the habit of covering my body with green light energy. Otherwise, with my previous physique, I would die if I was shot. I am also a speedster. It would be too embarrassing to be shot to death." Kuei Yin's words made Han Yu, who was lying on the ground, laugh out loud, not just because of his words, but also because in the timeline that Han Yu remembered, Kuei Yin was really shot to death. At that time, he felt that it was very unreasonable. A speedster was actually shot to death. Can you believe it? He has never seen a speedster who is more embarrassing than this. "Boss, why don't you stand up?" Seeing that Han Yu was still lying on his stomach, Kuei Yin said with some doubts. "Pretend it first, or the other party won't come out." Han Yu rolled his eyes and said, and rolled a bit more. The dust all over his body made him look very down and out. Ultron and Kuei Yin glanced at each other, only to think of this: if the other party sees that he is still standing well, he will definitely not come out easily. Immediately, he followed Han Yu's example and rolled around on the ground until Captain America and the others stood up, and Han Yu and the other three followed. There is an enemy attack. Because the location of the explosion was so close, even the two augmented men, Captain America and Winter Soldier, couldn't help feeling dizzy and tinnitus, so they didn't see Han Yu's short standing up movement just now. Seeing that the three of Han Yu had stood up, the US team and the Winter Soldier split up into two groups to help Nick Fury and Natasha up. The physique of the latter two was not as good as theirs, but the resulting explosion made them all uncomfortable. When Nick Fury wanted to stand up, he felt a surge in his body, and he spit out a big mouthful of blood. And Natasha also fell to the ground and couldn't get up. The explosion just now caused some fragments to splash on her right calf, and the severe pain from her leg made her unable to stand up at all. "How are you guys doing?" Captain America asked Han Yu and the others. Han Yu and the others nodded to him, indicating that it was all right. At this moment, the door of the room was knocked open, and many people could be seen lying outside. If nothing else happened, they had already had an accident. A group of people came in from the door. The person at the head was both familiar and unfamiliar. Seeing the appearance of the first person who came, Han Yu, Ao Chuang, and Kuei Yin opened their eyes a little bit more. The person in front of him was Pierce, but at this moment Pierce was wearing a familiar makeup, smoky eye makeup and lipstick that was painted almost to the ears. This look was no stranger to Han Yu. Isn't this the makeup of Han Yu's character Joker in GTA? Was serious, why is it so serious? This sentence came from Pierce, and others might not think it was a big deal, but Han Yu felt it was thunderous. This is also the subtext of the clown in his previous life. What the hell happened to this guy? Han Yu frowned slightly. After Pierce was so scared that he ran out of the grocery store that day, he didn't chase him to see where he was going. Anyway, a member of Hydra at Pierce's level must be supervised by someone from SHIELD. The latter will surely capture it. But according to what Captain America told him earlier, after he was captured, he suddenly violently injured others, and his subsequent behavior was inconsistent with the previous one. The American team thought that Pierce might be jumping the wall in a hurry, directly exposing his own nature. At that time, Han Yu thought it was reasonable. After all, he was taken aback by himself, and the opportunity he had planned for many years was destroyed. Strangeness. It's just that after seeing this makeup, Han Yu felt that things were not that simple. He stepped forward and asked with a sullen face, "Who taught you to do this makeup?" Ao Chuang and Kuei Yin looked at each other, and they could see the strange look in each other's eyes, because Han Yu's tone seemed a little strange at this time, and there was a kind of anger in it. Ao Chuang said in a low voice, "What's wrong with the boss?" Kuei Yin also replied in a low voice, "I don't know, could it be that you are unhappy about being bombed?" "Nonsense, it is certain that you will be unhappy. Could it be that you will be happy when you get bombed? Could it be that you are unhappy seeing your character being plagiarized and not getting permission? ITM, you are really the most special one among the second-rate ones." While the two were talking quietly, Han Yu had already walked in front of Pierce. "Hey, this is the man of God, what's the matter, what are you doing in such a disgrace? You are a man of God, the kind who is high above you, you shouldn't be like this." Pierce sneered, and stepped forward to dust off Han Yu's body, his voice full of sarcasm. "Let me ask you, who taught you how to do this makeup?" Han Yu directly grabbed Pierce's neck and suspended him in the air. Why is he in such a hurry? Because if someone taught him this makeup not from GTA, then Han Yu would have to find out the source. Because the original owner of this makeup, the clown, is a complete villain whether in comics or movies. Although it is unlikely, if the clown comes to this world, it will cause great chaos. It would be nice to have one in Gotham City, which is simple and simple. Han Yu doesn't want this place to become like that. Although it can't harm him, it is the place where he lives after all. If he dares to come, he will let you die. "Oh, you have to be careful, I planted bombs on every floor, you have to be careful, no matter how fast you move, I'm sure I can press the button before I die." Even though he was being strangled, Pierce still sneered and laughed, mocking Han Yu all the time. Seeing that the latter didn't move, he thought the latter was frightened, and then laughed maniacally. "Aren't you very powerful? Get strong soon, I have done so much just to lure you out. Of course, I also know that you are powerful, so I let so many people come to be my funeral objects. Come on, pinch break my neck and let everyone die with me." Han Yu raised his head, the cold eyes made Pierce, who was already insane, tremble, and the fear in his heart arose spontaneously, and Han Yu grinned and said, "Pietro, bomb, deal with it." "No problem boss." In the blink of an eye, Pierce saw a bunch of bombs appear in front of him. He was no stranger to them. They were the bombs he had planted on every floor. Chapter 114 The Call of Another World. Pierce didn't believe it. He thought it was Han Yu who frightened him, so he directly pressed the button hidden in the palm of his hand. The flames of the explosion lit up from the pile of bombs. At the moment of the complete explosion, Han Yu stretched out his hand to the pile of bombs, and a huge green light burst out of his hand in an instant, surrounding the bombs live. The huge explosion was produced in the energy of the green light, but it did not dissipate. The smoke and flames were all wrapped in the energy of the green light, compressing it into nothingness. Looking at this scene, Pierce really felt that the clown was me. Only then did the madness fade away from his face and turned into fear. The last time he went to the grocery store, Wanda stopped him. When Han Yu and the others came up, his subordinates sent a message saying that Wanda had not followed, so Pierce planned to threaten the life of the entire building, even if I can't kill Han Yu, and I want to make him feel uncomfortable for a while. But he didn't expect that there was such a surprisingly fast man by his side, who could find out the bombs placed in the whole building in the blink of an eye. During this period, Pierce didn't even have a chance to press the button. Don't say it. If you don't say it, I will do it myself. Bright green lights bloomed from Han Yu's eyes, and the black pupils of his eyes were covered with a layer of crystal green. One of the characteristics of the ring is telepathy. Han Yu sneaked into Pierce's brain, flipping through his memories like browsing a movie. Strange, this guy hasn't met anyone who looks like a clown, and he hasn't been exposed to the game GTA, so why does he wear this kind of makeup and behave like a clown? Han Yu frowned. The telepathic function of the green light ring is generally impossible to resist. Unless the other party has a cosmic god like the Soul Gem or a god of the Heavenly Father, it is possible to resist this kind of spiritual invasion. Can't resist. Not to mention ordinary people like Pierce, let alone the ability to resist the telepathy of the green light ring, so he really didn't come into contact with the clown. Boss. Although they didn't know why, Ultron and Kuei Ian both stepped forward and stood beside Han Yu, protecting his sides. Steve, I don't want to keep this guy, killing him, won't it affect your mood? Han Yu's voice came coldly, and the US team agreed in a daze. He didn't understand why Han Yu had such emotions. When we met before, he was always in harmony. People feel great pressure. What he said seemed to be a question, but in fact he carried an unquestionable tone. It seemed that no matter what Captain America said, Han Yu would kill Pierce. After hearing Captain America's reply, Han Yu twisted Pierce's neck directly with his palm. He will not show mercy to the enemy. If the opponent still has the mentality of reforming himself, Han Yu can consider letting him go, but he knows clowns and knows how terrifying people like clowns are. The reason why the clown is Batman's old enemy is because the latter has always held a heart of not killing. He has captured the clown many times and obviously has the opportunity to kill him, but in the end he was captured alive. Because Batman wants to prove that Gotham City, which is in darkness, can be saved. And he is the light that opens the darkness. If he is provoked by the clown to kill him, then the last light of Gotham City will disappear. Han Yu didn't have to worry about this kind of problem. For this kind of extremely evil villain, if he killed him, he would kill him. Han Yu didn't have any psychological burden, and he didn't have to prove anything to anyone. If you dare to come out at this level, the difference between you and him is not a star and a half. Han Yu casually threw away Pierce, who was breathless in his hand, and went to check the injuries of Nick Fury and Natasha. After simply bandaging them, he asked Captain America to send them to the hospital. And he was sitting on a chair alone, watching others come to clean up Pierce's body. Boss, don't you want to go back? Ultron said. It took some time before Han Yu came to his senses because of Ao Chuang's voice. Ao Chuang, keep an eye on Pierce's corpse, and don't leave anyone who comes into contact with his corpse, Han Yu said. He must control the situation within his controllable range. He doesn't like the passive situation, which will make him feel irritable and cause some irreversible consequences. Don't worry, boss, I have connected a small part of my consciousness to the satellite system of SHIELD, and will strictly monitor it. Ultron said. A few people rushed back to the grocery store first, but Han Yu didn't notice that Pierce's blood on the ground that hadn't had time to deal with it was slowly evaporating, and the scarlet blood turned into green particles. Slowly drift away. After returning to the grocery store, Han Yu was just lying on the bed, replaying the details of Pierce's memory in his mind. He has never been in contact with the clown, so how did he become like this? Is it really because he lost his mind? Han Yu couldn't figure it out. Just when he thought about it and couldn't think of anything, the grocery store system suddenly rang. Immediate task trigger, save Gaia brand, the task rating will be SSS as the highest level, the host can decide the style of completing the task. 1. Complete the task easily, and reward 100 upgrade points at the end. 2. Completed carefully quests, and rewards will increase with the degree of caution of the host. Han Yu sat up from the bed, a little confused. What do you mean, system? Repeat it again. It was the first time he encountered a world that he had never experienced before, which made him a little surprised, but Han Yu also knew that no matter which world he received the task, that world would definitely be the world in anime or movies. It's just that Han Yu doesn't know about that anime or movie. Let's listen to the ins and outs and listen to the explanation of the goddess Lista. I wish you good luck. What the hell? Just when he was wondering, the system suddenly said such a sentence. A burst of brilliance suddenly appeared under Han Yu, and before he could react, he fell directly into the gate of time and space generated by the brilliance. Boom! A golden beam of light descended from the sky and fell into this magnificent temple. The falling of the golden beam of light caused a thick cloud of smoke and dust. Hey, it hurts, what's the matter with this system? It was sent to me before I finished speaking, it's really getting too much, why does it feel like this mission has become a passive mode? The smoke and dust dissipated, and the man who appeared in it was none other than Han Yu. At this moment, he was holding his back and sucking in a breath of cool air. Don't look at the golden beam of light falling when he appeared on the stage, he looked very domineering, but in fact, he inside the golden beam of light was tossing and turning, and when he finally landed, he landed on his back first. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, and when the smoke and dust billowed up, a carp jumped up and didn't look so embarrassed. Okay, so handsome. A girl with long blonde hair not far from Han Yu couldn't help but speak out, even her eyes seemed to be beating with love. Chapter 115. Is this brave man sick? Han Yu looked at the girl with blonde hair. The latter was definitely a super internet celebrity in Han Yu's previous life, no matter in appearance or figure. Is she the one who summoned me? There should be a systematic reason for her being able to summon me from the Marvel world. Otherwise, people from other worlds would not be able to summon me. I don't belong to these animations. People of the movie world. Han Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Although he had just arrived here, Han Yu had already analyzed the matter thoroughly. The task of sending grocery stores was never explained in detail. The previous task was because Han Yu had watched those anime, so he was able to clearly know how to solve it. Now the task is troublesome. Han Yu doesn't know what kind of world this is. Could it be the Gaia brand that the system calls? Hey, what is this place? Han Yu asked the blonde girl not far away. Seeing Han Yu looking at her, the blonde girl took a deep breath and said what she had already prepared. Hello, the chosen brave man, my name is Listadia, and I am the goddess who lives in this unified god realm. For some reason, I summoned you from the lower plane to this dimensional world, in order to I want you to save a world that has been invaded by a demon king, Gaia brand. Listad put her hands on her sides, and for some reason, she released golden brilliance. She really looked like a goddess who descended from the sky, although she said so, the inner drama had a great reversal. He, don't be dumbfounded. I am a goddess. To put it bluntly, I am a good woman who can't be seen by nerds. If you fall in love with me madly, there is nothing you can do. Who made me such a charming and good-looking woman? Woolen cloth. When Lizdadai said this, she still didn't forget to brush her hair with her hand. For ordinary men, this action is really seductive, but the person standing in front of her is Han Yu. Seeing that Han Yu was silent, Lizdadai thought he was fascinated by her, and was about to continue talking, but heard Han Yu say, "Did the light behind you just come from yourself?" Puff. Such a sentence directly dissipated the aura that Listad had just suffocated. Is this what ordinary people pay attention to? Others should pay attention to why I appear here and who are you? Or maybe she was fascinated by her own beauty, which was the original thought in Listadai's mind after Han Yu appeared, but Han Yu's question directly made her angry. What's going on with this man? Is this something that ordinary people can pay attention to? Listad had a question mark on her face, and she couldn't turn her head around. Seeing Han Yu staring at her, she stammered, yes, because it seems that the aura is stronger. This goddess seems to be strong in the outside world. After listening to Listad's words, this was Han Yu's first thought, and it also had a dazzling light when speaking. Even Han Yu had never done this kind of secondary school thing. After hearing her own words, Listadia saw an obvious look of contempt on the other party's face, and said, "Hey, what's that expression on your face?" "It's nothing." Han Yu turned his head away and shrugged his shoulders, which made it clear that he looked down on the other party. This human being is really troublesome. The corners of Listadade's mouth were pulled downwards, that facial expression was simply beyond the reach of ordinary people. She comforted herself and thought, forget it, maybe I was summoned suddenly, I'm in a hurry, didn't understand the point, I'm a goddess, I should take care of mortals. Seeing that Listad was thinking alone, grinning from time to time, Han Yu knew that she must be comforting himself in her mind. Are you thinking I was summoned suddenly? Why not? Understand the situation, and you are a goddess and should take care of me or something like that. Ah, how do you know? Listadade's face changed again, becoming an extremely exaggerated look. Han Yu rolled his eyes, he didn't want to talk to her, he was a goddess, he put all his thoughts on his face. I'm not good at being a goddess. System, you're not going to play me to death this time, are you? Han Yu silently complained to his grocery store system in his heart, but there was nothing he could do about it. He said that he would pick up a mission whenever he had one, but he never expected to receive such a passive adventure mission that was directly summoned. It's really annoying. Han Yu rubbed his head helplessly and said. Okay, let's take a look at your ability value first. After knowing your specific value, we can choose where to start training. Just call ability value. Lista Dai sorted out her mood and said to Han Yu. Han Yu pondered, and when she was talking, 2 windows that only he could see popped up in front of him, one of which was written hidden attribute value, and the other was written visible attribute value. She should have said the second one. Han Yu read the words that Listad said just now, and a window that even the latter could see popped up in front of him, which was about Han Yu's current ability value. Name, Han Yu. LV, 1. HP, 430. MP, 255. Attack, 165, Defense, 143, Speed, 145, Magic, 100, Growth, 210. Special Skills, Flame Magic, Leave Max, Experience Value Increase Speed, Leave 4, Ability Perspective, Leave 5. See, your ability value is super high. Listad came over and said. My ability value is high, why are you so proud? Han Yu glanced at her and said, then looked back at the ability value panel, rubbed his chin, regardless of Listerade who kept screaming beside him, and said in his heart, it is indeed very high, but the task issued to me by the system should not be that simple. Well, you shouldn't experience how high these numbers are without going to the field to fight. Come on, let's go to the country occupied by the devil, Gaia Brand. Lista Dai summoned a portal and smiled at Han Yu. Han Yu nodded, just as he raised his foot, he thought of what the grocery store system had said earlier. Complete the task carefully. If I go directly like this, it will be the same as usual. Han Yu was alert to this problem. And he withdrew his foot again. What's wrong? Seeing that he withdrew his foot, Lista Dai saw that Han Yu just took off his shirt and started bobby jumping on the ground as soon as he asked the question. Is this brave man sick? Chapter 116 The Nympho Goddess. You don't need to practice here. You can level up faster by fighting some monsters in Gaia Brand. How can you level up by doing some bobby jumps? Listadet sucked her teeth, feeling a little helpless. She thought she was lucky to have drawn Han Yu, the most outstanding warrior among all the warriors, and seeing him now, outstanding is outstanding, why did she feel a little strange? Although sports such as running can also be upgraded, it may take thousands of experience to upgrade to a level. How long will it take to upgrade in this way? Just when she stepped forward to persuade Han Yu to go to the mainland first, the latter called out the ability value panel and threw it in front of her. The value displayed on it made her eyes widen. Actually did dozens of burpees and got promoted to level 4. Han Yu's current level has reached level 5, and his ability value has also increased a lot, which surprised Lista Dai very much. According to common sense, this level 4 would have to spend at least 3 days and 3 nights around Xinqiao village without sleep before reaching this level. Now Han Yu has only done dozens of burpees to reach level 5. Unbelievable. Han Yu glanced at Lista Dai lightly, and then he directly started to jump repeatedly, which was really the kind of repeated horizontal jumps, reaching hundreds of times in a minute. Looking at Han Yu who had turned into an afterimage in front of her, Lista Dai felt that her worldview had been refreshed. What kind of monster is this that can be upgraded by doing such a simple action? I have never seen anyone who can achieve this level of upgrade speed before. It shows that the person I found is really capable, and he has a good figure. Listad suddenly felt her nose warm up, and blood gushed out of her nasal cavity. Han Yu couldn't see his figure when he was wearing clothes. When he took off his shirt, he found that his muscle proportions were perfect. The size of the muscles is in an impeccable proportion to his height and weight. It doesn't look too big, but it also looks very powerful. Even Listad feels a little difficult to control the perfect muscle lines. Want to go up? Something happened. Take advantage of this gap, tell me about Gaia Brand. From the corner of his eyes, Han Yu caught a glimpse of Listad still beside him, so he panted slightly, but he didn't know that his panting was also very lethal to Listad. Gaia Brand is a very big world. Listad didn't organize her words for a while, and the words she spoke were messed up, Nonsense, of course I know it's a big world, I'm asking about the devil. Han Yu didn't raise his head, he was a little speechless about this nympho goddess, and now he changed his exercise to squat jumping, the speed and momentum of that jump seemed to smash through the ceiling. Listadai said, Gaia Brown was originally divided into the human world and the demon world, and the two worlds were relatively peaceful, but in the past 100 years, the power of the Demon King's guard suddenly grew, and the Demon King led his army to invade the continent where humans live. Many cities have been destroyed. And the remaining human towns are the Rosgar Empire and a small number of villages and towns. Han Yu nodded and said, I see, if you have nothing to do, go out first, I will continue to exercise. Ah! It's gone, there's nothing else to do, you can continue to do it, and you can use this doll to call me if you have something to do. Listad took out a doll that was exactly like her from an indescribable place on her upper body, put it on the table, and slowly exited the room while admiring Han Yu's beautiful body. Listadia, who was standing at the door, stepped on the lawn angrily, and said angrily, I am a goddess, hey, don't think that you can do whatever you want because you are handsome and have a good figure, I am not bad looking, and the figure is also very good, if you don't know me again, I will, what are you doing? The door behind him suddenly opened, and Han Yu picked up Listerade's nape clothes, threw her out, clapped his hands, and looked into the distance. Phew, what kind of weirdo goddess is this? It might be good in some age games, but I have to complete the mission. This mission should earn me a lot of upgrade points. If I get disturbed by this woman, it won't be worth the loss. Han Yu said to himself, and went back to the room to continue exercising. He has done so many preparatory exercises, of course, not because he really needs to upgrade to the full level, but to prepare before departure. Normal people may just twist their necks and move their wrists and ankles. But Han Yu made such an exaggeration, all kinds of outrageous movements, just to make his preparations more cautious. When the grocery store is finished, it means that what you say is what you say. I am so cautious, and I must get a lot of upgrade points in the end. Han Yu couldn't help laughing. If Listarati saw that smile, she would definitely shudder, and she looked very malicious. After returning to her home, Listadet put the communication doll on the table, sat down on the chair and leaned over the table, and said, Humph, how many men I have seen are nothing more than hard-spoken and want to use this kind of exercise to pretend to be right. I'm not interested, but I've seen a lot, I'm sure, within half an hour, you will definitely call. Half an hour later, the communication puppet in front of Listad still hadn't changed. She gritted her teeth and said, no more than 3 hours. 3 hours later, the communication puppet in front of her still hadn't changed much, which surprised her, this guy hasn't contacted me yet, isn't he pretending? After that, Lisada waited for 5 more days. She tossed and turned on her bed and waited until her expression became ferocious, and the communication puppet on the table rang. Quickly jumped up from the bed. The communication puppet was connected, but he still pretended to be normal and said, what's the matter, are you ready so soon? On the other end of the phone, Han Yu's low-pitched voice sounded uncontrollable, really, it's almost here, so I'll continue. Not fast, not fast. I'll go find you now, wait for me, stop doing sports. Finally, Listad couldn't hold back anymore, she yelled at the communication doll, kicked open the door and rushed towards the place where Han Yu lived. When she opened the door, Listadet happened to see Han Yu, who came out naked after taking a bath, and a little water slipped from his muscles. She felt her nasal cavity heat up, and the nosebleed flowed down again. Sister Goddess, I also ask you. Although this is the house you borrowed to live in, I am also a man anyway. Can you knock on the door before you come in? Han Yu wiped the water off his body with a towel, and said helplessly. Hey, what's so shameful about you, old man? Goddess, you will suffer if I see you. Listadade said bravely, but in fact her mental activities. Oi, I saw Hakeng again. If only there were so many male gods of this level in our god realm. Chapter 117 Shocking Listadade for 1,000 years. Before I leave, I want to ask, what will happen if I die in that world? Han Yu asked. Listad smiled and said, you will only return to the original world, and I can no longer do this task, so don't worry, you will have nothing. An imperceptible look of irritability flashed in Han Yu's eyes, and he quickly moved his head away so that Listerade could not see it. I'm ready to go. Han Yu stretched his wrist and did the preparatory activities for nearly 6 days. If this is not prudent, then he really doesn't know how to be prudent. Does it have to be longer? Doing too much is not a question of being cautious, but a question of whether the brain is good or not. Okay, okay. Then let's go to a novice town to buy some equipment. You can't just go to battle wearing the clothes of the original world, although it is also very handsome. Lista Dai's nasal cavity became hot, and a trace of blood flowed out again, probably thinking of Han Yu's body under his clothes. Do you dare to hurry up? Han Yu rolled his eyes. Does the goddess who matched me dare to be more serious? Generally speaking, what happened to her is not a reaction that a man would have. Why didn't he react at first, but the other party was flirtatious? Stop. It's no wonder that the task issued by the system is to complete the task carefully, but if you are careless, you will probably be killed by this goddess. I'm sorry, I'll open it now. Listadade repeatedly apologized, but at the same time she was a little excited. She was finally able to set off, which made her very happy. Gaia Brand, let's go. The two of Han Yu stepped into the portal, and the place where they reappeared was a vast green lawn, and groups of cattle and sheep could be seen not far away. A planet invaded by demon forces. There are enemies. Han Yu's leisurely eyes suddenly became sharp, and he looked towards a certain place, where a few dark green figures were hiding behind the stone, peeping at Han Yu's side quietly. Hearing what he said, Listadade looked up, her eyes were covered with a faint light, as if she had turned on a telescope, and looked there. Don't worry, it's just a few goblins who like to steal things. They are simple monsters here. There are 3 or 5 ordinary children, and they can be defeated with a wooden stick. Hey, what are you doing? Listade's eyes remained fixed, and she saw that the gorgeous flame had risen from Han Yu's hand, and between breaths, the flame condensed into a broad sword several feet long, which was held in her hand. You, what are you doing? Listade asked, although she didn't know what kind of move it was, but it must be a kind of magic, which can gather magic energy into a real thing, which not only requires full-level fire magic, but also has a strong sense of fire force. The flaming sword in his hand continued to emit extremely hot temperatures. Han Yu did not answer Listade's words, and threw the flaming sword in his hand towards several goblins not far away. In a short distance of less than 100 meters, the flame sword swelled into a huge broadsword tens of meters from throwing to falling, and fell fiercely towards the goblin mobs. A brilliant beam of flame rose into the sky, shocking Listade for 1,000 years. Is this his big move? It's a big move. He used his big move to fight a few level 1 mobs. What's wrong with this brave man? Listade's face was full of shock. She thought the matter was over, but she didn't expect that when Han Yu overlapped his hands and spun them apart in a circle, 4 or 5 small flaming swords like before were in his palms. Circling between. Kill! Han Yu shouted in a low voice, pushed his palm, and several small swords flew out, leaving trails of flames in mid-air, and finally turned into a huge flaming sword more than 10 meters in size, bombarding the place where the previous explosion point was. Around. Now, even if the opponent managed to survive the first attack, it was impossible for him to survive the subsequent attacks. Han Yu blocked all escape routes. The smoke and dust dissipated, and there was only a piece of scorched land where the goblins were before, without half a piece of gravel, and there was not even a scum left by those goblins. Listade said in a daze, "Hey, there's no need to do this to a few goblins. I know you're here for the first time, so be careful. In this way, one of your skills is ability perspective. Use that you can see the opponent's ability value. Next time you can use this to see how strong the opponent's ability value is before it's too late to make a move." Han Yu said, "I saw that the first level goblins have single digits in all values. You know that they have low numbers and still shoot like this?" Listadade was shocked again. It's not ruled out that the other party was sent by the Demon King to pretend. Han Yu thought of this possibility, and felt very right. He is also an old player of PRG games, and he has seen many things like leveling up the protagonist in the early stage. But after he came to this kind of place in person, even if the mission didn't make him cautious, Han Yu would do the same. It's not uncommon for him to see bigger accidents caused by the protagonist not making up the knife. This kind of plot is often used to promote the plot, but Han Yu gets angry when he sees it. Does he have to use such a mindless way to promote it? Well, I still have to do a few shots. Thinking of this, Han Yu rubbed his chin and nodded to himself. Listadai was stunned, and then saw a few flaming swords appeared in Han Yu's hands, and suddenly blasted at the previous location of the goblin who had already turned into nothingness. This level of bombardment was used to deal with some demon kings. The following generals are enough. Now she actually watched Han Yu use this kind of magic to bombard a few first-level goblins where there was not even ashes left. That scene, let alone how shocking it was. The shock of Han Yu's moves, as well as the shock of what Han Yu did, shocked Listadai for 1,000 years. After a few minutes, Han Yu stopped his movements, covered his head suddenly, took a breath, and murmured, "Hiss, it seems that the blue bar has been consumed a bit. Let you have nothing to do with so many big moves, the MP value has been consumed a lot, let me see how much you have." Listad hurried up and looked at the bare land. At this time, she was shocked and speechless, but out of the duty of a goddess, she asked aloud and opened Han Yu's personal attribute box. "I'll go, what kind of attribute are you?" "Name, Han Yu. LV, 25. HP, 1200. MP, 120. Attack power, 985, Defense power, 874, Speed, 873, Magic power, 452, Growth value, 299. Special skills, Flame magic, Leave max, Experience value increase speed, Leave 4, Ability perspective, Leave 5. In terms of level alone, it is very intriguing to upgrade to level 25 after doing various sports for nearly 6 days. The key is that each of these data has exceeded 1,000. This level is already comparable to that of the Demon King. 4 generals. It's outrageous. Chapter 118 The Goddess is Beautiful. Let's go buy some equipment first, we can't just attack the Demon King like this, Han Yu said. Ah yes, you are right, there is a small town not far from here, let's go there. Listadai suddenly forgot what Han Yu did just now, and she was naturally excited when she heard that she could get down to business quickly. Looking at her like this, Han Yu knew that Listad was definitely not a veteran. It seemed that she should be a newly appointed goddess, and she was so lucky that she won this kind of S-level difficulty world. Han and Yu were about to lift their feet, when suddenly a strong sense of oppression came from behind them, and for a while, even the goddess Listadade couldn't move. "Oh, my lord, the Lord Demon King's instructions are indeed correct. Every brave man likes to level up in this kind of place when he comes out. The words of the Lord Demon King are indeed correct." A frivolous voice came from behind Han Yu and the two of them. They turned around, and what appeared in front of them was an extremely revealingly dressed female devil with small horns on both sides of her head and a light red arrogance all over her body. It seems that it is not comparable to the kind of goblin-level mobs. "We met for the first time. I am Chaos Makina, one of the 4 heavenly kings directly subordinate to the Demon King." The woman in revealing clothes was carrying a giant sword that was much taller than her. She licked her lips with her scarlet tongue, and her eyes revealed a murderous intent. "How is it possible to meet a guy of this level here?" Listad had never experienced this level of oppression, and felt a little out of breath. She activated one of her abilities, the ability to see through, and saw the numerical value of the woman in front of her. Her expression froze. Chaos in front of him is level 66, and the 3 values of attack and defense speed are nearly over 1,000. It is impossible for a brave man who has just come to this world to deal with enemies of this level. She has clearly chosen the safest place, but she still meets a strong opponent. Is this the world of S-level difficulty? The current Han Yu doesn't even have any equipment, so how could it be possible to defeat an enemy of this level? "Han Yu, you have to calm down, don't be afraid, we are not her opponent now, we have to find a chance to run." Listadai whispered to Han Yu beside her, but the other party never responded. She thought that Han Yu was too scared to speak, but when she turned her head, she saw that there was no one beside her. It actually ran away. Listadai looked at Han Yu who had already run far away in shock. Is this something normal people can do? As she said that, she also ran away at a very fast speed, and immediately followed behind Han Yu. Hey, don't leave the goddess and run away." Listad burst into tears as she ran, but her ferocious appearance made her look more like a villain than Chaos, a zombie villain's sense of sight. "Who are you villains?" Han Yu glanced at Listadia behind him. The latter's appearance at this time also made his hair stand on end. "He said that the goddess is your true face." Listadai, who was running behind, was exactly like the zombies in the zombie movies that Han Yu had watched in his previous life. Her pupils seemed to be staring out of her eye sockets, and her mouth was so wide open that she didn't need any makeup to act like a zombie. Although I have been able to fight this kind of situation, according to the system, if I solve it easily, it will appear imprudent. Han Yu, who was running extremely fast, analyzed calmly in his heart. While running, he called out an attribute panel that only he could see. Name, Han Yu. LV, 5. HP, 5000. MP, 3000. Attack power, 3200, defense power, 4200, speed, 3000, magic power, 3000, growth value, 1852. Special skills, flame magic, leave max, experience value increase speed, leave 4, ability perspective, leave 5. If Listad saw it, her shock might be thousands of years longer. This is not the data a level 5 hero should have at all. If she saw it, she would even wonder if Han Yu was transformed by the Demon King. Come here, trick her. Such a high data should be the data adjusted by the grocery store system based on my immortal seal and my current level. If the level is full, these data should reach more than 1 million. At that time, it will crush the existence of the Demon King. This is the first choice given to me by the grocery store system before. If I choose to complete the task easily, I am afraid that the value of breaking 1 million will come up, and the Devil King will not be crushed simply. Han Yu looked at Listad, who was becoming more and more zombified behind him, and said, "Aren't you a goddess? You won't die in this kind of world, why are you so scared? Help me block it, then open the portal." "Oh yes, then what am I afraid of?" Listad stretched out her hand and summoned the portal back to the god realm not far away, and was about to stop and turn back to block chaos, but the latter was very close to her. That bloodthirsty look, looking at her goddess as if she was looking at a little lamb, frightened Listadia to run out again, and the expression on her face became even more zombie-like. "Wait for me." Han Yu took the time to look back, and was taken aback, not by the murderous chaos, but by the appearance of the goddess, Listad. "It's too permeable. Where do you want to run?" Before the people arrived, the murderous aura had arrived, and Chaos brandished her giant sword and rushed forward with a murderous aura. "Hurry up!" Han Yu drank in a low voice, and the high-level fire magic and low-level water magic were released at the same time. The fire evaporated the water and produced a thick mist, which briefly blocked Chaos' sight. Listadai, who was terrified, also opened the portal in time, and fell in with Han Yu. Chaos waved away the mist. Looked at Han Yu who had disappeared, licked his lips, and said with a cruel smile, "GGG, are you going to run away now? It's a decisive choice, but I also have a way let you come back." As he said that, Chaos looked into the distance, where there was a small town, which was the place where Han Yu and Listad were going. Chaos carried the huge sword, hummed an unknown tune, and walked towards the small town. On the other side, Listad, who had returned to the god realm, was panting heavily, and said, as expected of an S-rank world, "Gaia Brand, the Demon King is as cautious as you, he almost died there. Since you have nothing to do, go out quickly, I will continue to exercise." Han Yu took off his shirt and started the previous exercise again, but this time he did it more vigorously and was more terrifying than before. The previous amount was 80 per minute, a perfect and standard movement. It is impossible for a normal person to persist, but now he has increased to 120 per minute. Chapter 119, Han Yu and number 039, S Attitude. This is no longer the amount that a normal person can do, even a brave man can't have this kind of physical strength. Listadai stared at him blankly, and suddenly, Han Yu turned his gaze to her, stood up and walked over, stretching out his hand, turning into a Waldong movement. Looking at Han Yu who was very close to her, a shy look suddenly appeared on Listadai's face, thinking he was going to do something. "Han Yu, why are you staring at me like this?" The next moment, Han Yu unscrewed the doorknob behind her and kicked her out. "You're bothering me." The door closed, and Han Yu who kicked himself out of the door again made Listadai laugh angrily. "Hey, I'm also a goddess after all, it's fine if you don't fall in love with me madly, but you still treat me like this, is it reasonable?" Han Yu in the room rolled his eyes. This is not a goddess, it is clearly a female nerve. Apart from being good-looking, the only help in the battle may be to open the portal and escape. With the lessons learned from the past, this time Listad did not go to Han Yu immediately. She understood the latter's thoughts, and she was more cautious than ordinary people. "Forget it, if you don't want to talk to me, then I'll take a look for myself." Fortunately, I have a crystal that can see the lower realm, so I can see what's going on below. Listad brought a crystal hanging on a tripod from a corner of the room, and chanted a spell in front of it, crystal that sees through all 3,000 worlds, if danger is approaching, just reveal it. As soon as the words fell, the crystal emitted a faint light, and as the light faded, the scene that appeared on the screen made Listodi's hair stand on end. It was the town they were going to. Chaos had already arrived at the town, and 2 people were stepping on his feet. The big sword in his hand was already on the neck of that person, and he seemed to feel the pain of Listodi. Peeping, she raised her head to look somewhere, which happened to be the perspective of Listode. Mr. Brave and Mr. Goddess, you are watching. If you don't come out, the people in this town will die. From now on, I will kill one every 10 minutes. You have to hurry up. This pervert. Listode, who watched this scene, was very angry. When she took the crystal, she rushed to the room where Hanyu was. As before, she went in without knocking on the door. At this time, Hanyu was still doing push-ups on the ground, and the speed incredibly fast. Why didn't you knock on the door again this time? Hanyu said with some displeasure in his tone. Emergency. The small town we were going to, now Chaos is preparing to kill there, we have to leave quickly. Listadi said anxiously. Has the other party started to kill? Hanyu asked. Ah. I asked if the other party started killing. No, she said that she would kill one person in 10 minutes. Listadi replied. Hanyu paused for a moment, then pondered, is the time in the God realm different from the time on Earth? God realm often has a setting of 1 day in the sky, 1 year on the Earth. Hanyu asked this to see if there is such a setting here. If not, then he will set off immediately. If there is, then there is no rush. It's not the same. The passage of time here and there is 1%. The 10 minutes on the ground are 16 hours here. Listadi replied. Well, 16 hours is enough. Hanyu nodded and resumed his exercise. Why are you so calm? It's human life. We should go there sooner. Listadia said anxiously. What's the rush? For you, it's just a lower world, a mission. If I die, you just can't complete a mission. But for that world will be destroyed. This is not a play. If you go out without adequate preparation, you will end up dead in the end. Hanyu's voice was extremely indifferent, but it was true. Listadi felt that what Hanyu said was a little reasonable, but because of the face of the goddess with high self-esteem, she still bite the bullet and said, but it is human life after all. If it were a normal brave man, he would have gone already. Hearing what Listad said, Hanyu stopped exercising and stood up. Hanyu, who was already a head taller than her, was looking at her with his head slightly raised. An unprecedented sense of oppression emanated from him. Body issued. Do you think this is a game? If a normal hero goes, what will happen? Hasn't Gaiabrand produced a hero? Has there been any change in the result? Maybe their world was destroyed by the devil, you will feel uncomfortable for a while, and then start a new task excitedly, and happily save the next world with your so-called saving people mentality, which is actually it's just a game between you goddesses, it won't do you any harm at all, at most it's stagnant performance. This is war, not a joke. Hanyu's words stunned Listadi, and she couldn't say a word. The essence of the goddess is indeed the same. If the mission fails, the brave will return to the original world, the goddess will return to the god realm, and the saved world is destroyed. The brave will not change, the goddess just failed to complete the mission once, but the people in that world will be killed forever, and there will be no turning back. It's a failure. You are so cautious because you are afraid. You are a guy who is afraid of death. You shouldn't have been summoned in the first place. No matter how powerful you are also the worst brave. Listadi said angrily. Hanyu didn't want to talk to her at all, this kind of cannon fodder rushed forward with enthusiasm and kindness that couldn't tell the difference between good and bad. Fortunately, she is the goddess who summons the brave. If she was the brave who was summoned by the goddess, when she met Chaos before, she might bite the bullet and try to beat her. Give. Okay, I'm ready, the current level should be enough to fight her. Hanyu jumped up from the ground like a carp, and clenched his fists. Feeling the full strength in his body, he couldn't help clenching his fists. Hanyu really doesn't care about the life or death of Gaiabranda's people. If the god realm really has a conscience, it shouldn't let this idiot summon him up. This is just a blind rush and has no combat power. The goddess of help, Han Yu chose to complete his task calmly. At this moment, the voice of the grocery store system sounded in Han Yu's mind. Complete the branch task, ready to go, reward 100 upgrade points. Hearing the voice in his mind, Han Yu's eyes lit up slightly. One branch mission can actually get so many upgrade points. It seems that his previous caution was really helpful. We have to be more cautious in the future, the rewards for this mission are too generous, we must not let it go. Chapter 120 Unexpected Equipment. Listad looked at Han Yu and used her ability to see through, and the expression on her face became wrong again. Name, Han Yu. LV, 25. HP, 1200. MP, 120. Attack power, 985, Defense power, 874, Speed, 873, Magic power, 452, Growth value, 299. Special skills, Flame magic, Leave max, Experience value increase speed, Leave 4, Ability perspective, Leave 5. It actually surpassed KOs in such a short period of time? This upgrade speed is too enchanting. Listad looked surprised. She looked at Han Yu's expression with a pensive look, and suddenly felt something was wrong. Before she could speak, she heard Han Yu say. Although we are going to save people, it is impossible to leave empty-handed. Is there any birth point near the town we are going to? Han Yu asked. There are, but they are all too small. The town I chose already has good equipment, and the others are a little smaller, and the equipment is relatively simple. Listad said. Then go to the smaller one, buy the equipment and go to save people immediately. Hearing this, Listad quickly agreed, and at least she agreed. Now Gayabranda's time has passed by 1 minute, and there are still 9 minutes left. Let's go. Listad opened a new portal to Gayabrand, and the two stepped into the town that appeared. It was really small, and Han Yu could see the gate of the town from a distance. This is just a village with a population of less than 100 people. If it is the birth point for newbies, this should be the first stop. Listad said. It's just that she had directly located the outskirts of the small town for convenience, but she was still ambushed by her opponent. Han Yu nodded, his eyes began to search for something in the village, and suddenly he settled on a certain place, and he walked quickly. Listad hurriedly followed him, and the two came to a small stall, and it was obvious that it was selling equipment, but the things on it were really indescribable. That quality might not even have a 1-star quality, just some of the simplest body armor, and even some coarse cloth on it, which made Listad a little bit unbearable to look directly at. Han Yu, why don't we go to another place? We can quietly go to that small town to buy equipment, these are not suitable for you. Listad said, even she felt that these equipments were not suitable. Han Yu scanned the weapons stand, and suddenly, he fixed on one place. With some surprised expressions on his face, and thought, why did this thing appear here? Noticing Han Yu's surprised gaze, Listad followed his gaze. He was wearing a black dress, the jacket looked like a kimono, and the trousers were a pair of wide pants that reached to the ankle. Pants. This clothes might be good for everyday wear, but if it is used for fighting, it is definitely not good. Boss, how do you sell this? Before she could speak, Han Yu had already picked up the dress and asked the boss. That one is not made in our shop, I picked it up outside. Young man, if you are interested in this dress, you can exchange it with 2 pieces of bread. The shop owner is a very kind old man. Seeing that Han Yu was very interested in the clothes, he didn't make things difficult, and directly explained the price. 2 pieces of bread was an extremely simple price for Listad. No normal person would be short of bread, and they could buy it casually outside. But in this small village, their production techniques are limited, and they are far away from the city. Generally speaking, the kind of bread that can only be found in the city is considered a luxury here. When Listad was exchanging bread for items, Han Yu had already taken the black clothes to the grove behind and changed into them. The moment she came out, Listad's eyes were straightened. Wearing this black suit, Han Yu's figure is slimmer than casual clothes, and his whole person has a more solemn feeling. The black makes him feel a little more restrained than usual. He stands there, although he doesn't speak. But it is hard to ignore his existence. This suit suits you well. Listad stepped forward and looked left and right around Han Yu, her eyes were full of satisfaction. She didn't expect that the clothes she bought in the small village looked so good. At this time, the black clothes on Han Yu's body emitted a burst of white light, and a layer of white silk fabric was added to the outermost part of the clothes, turning into a white overcoat draped around his body. This scene stunned Listadai and the stall owner, and Listadai used her ability to see through to see if it was some hidden S-level equipment that would actually change. But under the perspective of ability, in her field of vision, this suit is just an ordinary black dress. But Han Yu felt differently. He was very surprised, because this thing turned out to be the Shiba outfit that matched his Zanpakuto Hiran Meru. The so-called Death Domineering costume is the work uniform worn by the group of people called the God of Death in the world of the God of Death. Generally speaking, they are all in black, and only a few people will have an extra layer of white feathers on the outside. It is the talent of the captain level of the Reaper Squadron that can be owned, and the Reaper Guard has only 13 squadrons, that is, 13 captains, and the Reaper at the captain level is still very strong. Although the Shiba outfit doesn't have too many features, Han Yu only has the ice ball, which is obviously the Shiba outfit that goes with the ice ball. System, what does this mean? Han Yu asked the grocery store system in his mind, afraid that this was a trap set by the latter for him. If he used these items, it would be considered careless, and the reward for upgrading points would be reduced. Wouldn't it be a big loss? This world is a PRG-type world. All equipment and props can be obtained through synthesis, picking up and snatching. The host can freely choose whether to keep the items, or exchange upgrade points with the grocery store. Note that the only items that can be exchanged are items above grade A. What you said in the second half of the grocery store excited Han Yu a lot. If you say you can barter, then I won't be sleepy. No, there is already a guy with A-level equipment rushing in front of him, wanting to give him equipment. Very good. After putting on the Death Fighter outfit, my stats have also increased a lot. It seems that the Death Fighter outfit is really useful. Han Yu clenched his fist. At the moment when the Shiba costume changed, the spiritual pressure of the ice wheel pill in his body exploded instantly, which greatly improved his ability in this world, but only 2 items were increased, attack power and speed. The original attack power of 980 and the speed of 870, now the former has exceeded 1000, and the latter has reached more than 990. For any normal brave man, this is undoubtedly a dream. Because he couldn't use the equipment from his original world, Han Yu bought a slender knife similar in style to Hiran Meru and hung it around his waist. Okay, I see that you are ready, and there is not much time now, let's go. Listadai said, and she bought some antidotes and healing medicines for Han Yu. Han Yu shook his head and raised 3 fingers. What's the meaning? The weapons and props just now come in 5 sets. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.